3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Play Show, yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to another week and a Monday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all of our great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in. 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, X, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. We are rocking and rolling all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern. 3 p.m. Pacific time today. I got Nico, I got Stu, I got Moist Mike as well. And Chael Sonnen is going to join us coming up at the top of the hour, the former MMA fighter. He was a part of all the great coverage of UFC 303 on Saturday evening in Las Vegas. So a whole lot to get to, but let's first start off with all the news in the association. Yes, Klay Thompson's time has appeared to be done and over with the Golden State Warriors. It appears that Klay Thompson is off to the Dallas Mavericks, and that's where he intends to sign. They got to figure out the sign and trade and do all that jazz as well. But I got to start with the Philadelphia 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6ers, 10, 9, 8, 76ers. Paul George is off to Philadelphia. And let me do something that I usually don't do. I have to praise Daryl Morey right out of the gate. I have for years have thought Daryl Morey is an overrated executive. Not that he's bad, but I've never called him this great executive that everyone talks about as if he has 8 or 9 championships. And my one contention with Daryl Morey is that he accepted losing when he was in Houston. And what I mean by that, when they've gone up against the Warriors, when the Warriors are the Warriors, those are some contentious battles. And those are battles where sometimes the Houston Rockets snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. And Daryl Morey, after one of the years losing to the Golden State Warriors, put out a tweet, something along the lines of, hey, I know we lost, but we've beaten the Warriors more in route to losing series to the Warriors compared to any other team in the NBA just because they won more games in the series than some other teams. And in that moment, I lost my mind. And I'm like, that's what the general manager of the Houston Rockets, the president of the Houston Rockets at the time, that was the road he elected to travel on and travel down to justify his team's losing. And it drove me absolutely just bonkers. And since going to Philly, he made a move where, yes, he got rid of Ben Simmons, but he brought in James Harden, who he knew was not capable of winning a championship. And then that blew up in his face because it's a he said type of situation where Daryl Morey did what's in the best interest of the Sixers franchise. We know James Harden never takes accountability when he comes up short. And now the two that used to be BFFs don't even talk, and James Harden called Daryl Morey a liar. So this past year, the Sixers kind of punted the season this past year because there was nothing they were going to be able to do to put them in a legitimate shot to go win a championship. And Joel Embiid got hurt right when the Sixers were like a top 4 seed. Then they lost in the first round to the Knicks. But you got to see something that was extremely positive for the Sixers. You saw someone in Tyrese Maxey take that next step, and now he's on the trajectory of being a star in the NBA. And when I think of Tyrese Maxey, I say he's a budding star. So you have Embiid, you have Maxey, and with Joel Embiid, as great as he is, and he's a top 5 player in the league, he's not better than Nikola Jokic. He's not better than Giannis Antetokounmpo, but he's an elite player, and he's a top 5 player in the league. But you don't know how much of a window he has left open to go win a championship because I don't know how many more years Joel Embiid is going to be able to play at an elite level because of all the injuries and all the wear and tear on his body. So Daryl Morey, who was able to a year ago not really do enough, and he wasn't in a position to really do anything, and he had to take kind of a punch year on the season, even though the Sixers were still going to be a playoff team, and hey, they could have got to the second round, but the Knicks were better than them and all that jazz. But now he elected to pounce. And I didn't think Daryl Morey was going to be able to land Paul George because it seemed like Paul George was interested. It seemed like the Sixers were interested. But then in the last week, it seemed as if Paul George wasn't going to land in Philly. It seemed like he was either going to go back to the Clippers. There were those rumors about him potentially going to the Golden State Warriors. And it seemed as if Paul George was going to stay on the West Coast. But late last night or early this morning, after it did seem like that was shifting to Paul George landing in Philly, we got the announcement, we got the breaking news that Paul George is going to be a Philadelphia 76er. And I have to start off by commending Daryl Morey, who I'm usually tough on and I'm usually critical on, because he's put the Sixers in a position to go capitalize on whatever window Joel Embiid has left as an elite player. And I've lived in Philly. I was there when they drafted Markelle Fultz. And then he either forgot how to shoot or got injured and then forgot how to shoot. It's still unclear. I was there when Ben Simmons was an enormous bust. It's like I have seen all the different iterations that the Sixers have put on the court with Joel Embiid. And when you look at this trio, Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey, this is as good of a position as the Sixers have been in ever since Embiid has been the face of the franchise. Now, what is it going to turn out to be? I can't tell you this is going to lead to a championship. I can't even tell you this is going to lead to a conference finals appearance, something Joel Embiid has never played in. Forget the NBA finals. He's never played in a conference finals. Because still, my biggest fear with this group is, will Embiid and Paul George be able to stay healthy? And they both need to stay healthy to win a championship. I'm not going to scream about load management with the Sixers. I'm not going to scream if Daryl Morey says, Embiid and Paul George, here's a new sponsorship. It's bubble wrap. I'm going to wrap your bodies in bubble wrap just so you guys don't get hurt. But come playoff time, these two guys need to be healthy, or as healthy as they could be, and they need to be on the court with also Tyrese Maxey. Because if you put that trio on a court, the Sixers are going to be tough to beat. And you've seen now a change. For years, it seems like the last decade, the Eastern Conference was very bland. Whatever team LeBron James was on, whether it was in Cleveland or it was in Miami, you knew in all likelihood that team was getting to the NBA Finals out of the East. And there was an intrigue factor and a suspense factor that was taken away. But as of late, as you've seen super teams go away, and it's really been dynamic duos and then building a team around dynamic duos, the East and the West have been open. You know, Boston got through this past year, finally won a championship. The year before that, you got to see Denver get through, win a championship. We've seen the Bucks get through and win a championship. And all those teams have something in common, is that they were close and they had to go through some tough times before they were able to elevate to the mountaintop and scream out like they were Johnny Drama victory. And the Sixers have been close. They have been tortured, right? Losing to the Hawks. You got to see Ben Simmons passing up that shot, Embiid with countless turnovers down the stretch in big games. When they fired off the confetti that one time and they thought they were going to win a game and then they didn't. Like, you know, the Kawhi Leonard shot that I still don't know how it went in with how many times it bounced off the rim. There have been moments, even though the Sixers have been able to get out of the second round, that you remember with the Sixers. And there's been a ton of heartbreak. But now, on paper, and it's a big if Embiid and George can stay healthy, they got a chance. They got a chance to go contend and actually get to a conference finals and actually get to an NBA finals. But they got to pounce now, and they got to be healthy now. This can't be in LA where Kawhi Leonard was hurt and then Paul George was healthy. Like, you need Embiid and Paul George to be healthy when it matters. Even if that means, you know, you have tickets to a big game Tuesday night in Philly and they have to rest Embiid. Or they have to rest Paul George in the regular season. Because for some teams in the NBA, the regular season doesn't matter. And the Philadelphia 76ers are one of those teams where the regular season doesn't matter. Because I don't care what the Sixers do in the regular season. They'll be like the Ravens in the NFL. They'll be like the Buffalo Bills in the NFL. The Bucks before they won a championship in the NBA. And the Celtics this year before they won a championship in the NBA. They have already had some success. We've already seen them get so close, but yet so far. So even if you are great, outstanding, sensational in the regular season, people will always say, yeah, but it doesn't matter until you get the job done in the postseason. So give credit to Daryl Morey. He has put the Sixers in a position to contend, but this Eastern Conference has not got easier. It's actually been as tough as it's ever been and is as deep as it's ever been in quite some time. You got the Celtics coming off a championship. We know Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum aren't going anywhere. Then you got the Milwaukee Bucks, who are going to be hungry. And last year, Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard weren't able to stay healthy. The Knicks added Mikal Bridges, and the Knicks have a really deep team. I don't love the Jimmy Butler situation in Miami because he's going to stay, not going to get a new deal. And that always just makes me weary when someone's trying to prove something this year, and it's very uncertain if he wants to stay with the Miami Heat. But you got a bunch of teams. Like, don't forget about Orlando. They're a young, up-and-coming team. They were able to land Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. The Cavs are a solid squad. Like, you got some teams in the Eastern Conference that are really good. But I think the 4 best teams in no order are the Celtics, the Knicks, the Bucks, and the Sixers. Those, to me, are the 4 best teams in the Eastern Conference. Now, take the Celtics out of it because they just won a championship. I'll ask you this. After the Celtics, this is the poll question today. You can find it at Zach Gelb and at INF Sportsnet. After the Celtics, who is the team to beat in the Eastern Conference? Bucks, Knicks, Sixers, or other? 5.6% say other. I have 28% say Milwaukee, 28.8% say the Sixers, and 37.6% say the New York Knicks. My answer, even though I like the teams that have been built with New York and have been built in Philadelphia, and they probably have a deeper squad than Milwaukee, but my answer is still Milwaukee. Because I think Giannis Antetokounmpo, after Nikola Jokic, is the best player in the sport, so he's the second best player in the sport. And Damian Lillard is a closer. He's a finisher. In New York, Jalen Brunson looks like he could be a finisher. He looks like he could be a top 10 player. In Philadelphia, Joel Embiid, as the series goes on, he's not the guy that's going to finish off the games. It's going to have to be either Maxey, who's capable of it, or it's going to now be Paul George. And Paul George, outside of that 1 year where Kawhi got hurt and he found his team into the conference finals, Paul George has not been a finisher in the postseason. That's been the one weakness in Paul George's game. Outside of the health, it's been when you get to the postseason, can he finish the job? And he's only getting older. So in a league of dynamic duos, and Milwaukee still has to fill out the rest of their team, I just think Milwaukee still has the best dynamic duo when they are healthy, and that is Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard. I keep on saying when they are healthy. It seems like that's a theme in the Eastern Conference. Like the Celtics, Brown and Tatum are pretty much always healthy. They're durable. But Milwaukee, injuries are a concern. The Knicks, we saw it derail them from going to the conference finals this year against the Pacers. Don't forget about Indiana too. But the Knicks, injuries are a concern. The Sixers, injuries are synonymous with Philadelphia. I think when I lived there, every player had a Jones fracture on the team. It was crazy how many injuries they did occur. So part of it is going to be a war of attrition, but it's also the building that these teams have done. And Milwaukee's done a good job building. Boston's done a good job building. Leon Rose with the Knicks has done a good job building. And even though I've been extremely critical of him throughout the years, and I've always said he's overrated when needed to, Daryl Morey basically had the Sixers be the Undertaker gift, and he's popped back up, and now the Sixers have some life. Because if it was just Embiid, if it was just Maxey, that's a good team. You could get to the second round of the playoffs with that team. But now bringing in Paul George gives the Sixers tangible hope. And I do believe the Sixers are capable of going on a deep run this year, where in previous years, we've kind of compared the Sixers to the Cowboys a little bit. All the talk, all the hype, all the offseason moves, good regular seasons, but then come playoff time, death, taxes, the Sixers and the Cowboys failing. By the way, talking about the drama Dallas choking Cowboys, Malik Hooker of the Cowboys is getting into it with Micah Parsons via social media. And even if the Cowboys don't make the playoffs this year, even if the Cowboys, do I even have to say get to an NFC title game? We know they're not. Jerry Jones is already considering this season a success. And I'll explain why when we return as we delve into the drama Dallas choking Cowboys. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a break. We'll come on back after these short messages.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Infinity Sports Network.
I'm already surprised, and trust me, I'm a huge critic of the drama Dallas choking Cowboys. But I'm already surprised by how much content the Cowboys have already given us when there should be no content to actually give us. This should be quiet time, even for the drama Dallas choking Cowboys. But this is an organization, in the last 2 decades, they don't judge success based off wins. They judge success based off how much drama they could serve to all of us. Think about it. Since their season came to a close, and it was embarrassing. I love what the Green Bay Packers are building. Matt LaFleur showed his worth this year. Jordan Love showed not only he could hang, but he could excel in the NFL this year. Like, that Packers team, they're up and coming. And we know that the Packers, it's just crazy how they were able to go from Favre to Rodgers. Both of them win championships. Both going to be going to the Hall of Fame. Favre already in. You know, Rodgers will be whenever he's done with the ayahuasca, whenever he's done with actually playing football and going to Egypt and doing all the darkness retreats and all that stuff. Whenever he wants to walk away from the game, Rodgers is going to be a Hall of Famer. And I'm not saying Love is going to be transcendent. I'm not saying Love's going to win a Super Bowl. I'm not saying Love's going to be an MVP. I'm not even saying Love's going to the Hall of Fame. But he gave you enough in his first true year as a starter to believe that the Packers have gotten it right again, or may have gotten it right again. But the Packers walked into that playoff game, into Jerry's world, a Cowboys team that has been close the last few years. And they had the 2 bad performances up against the 49ers where their offense let them down. You know, going up in that matchup for the Dallas Cowboys, when you saw them beat Tampa Bay that one year, and then in the back end in the next round where they're going up against the 49ers, and Dak, once Tony Pollard goes down, just failed to get the job done. Like, there have been enough moments now where you look at the Cowboys and you just understand they don't got it come postseason time. Like, they have good teams, but they don't have great teams, and they don't have elite teams. And there's a reason why they haven't been in a NFC title game since the 1995 season. So you look at the Cowboys, since their season came to a close where they got blown out and they got their doors blown off up against the Green Bay Packers. This is a Dallas team that had Dak Prescott's brother fighting with the fan base, where he tweeted out, "Cowboys fans, why continue to DM me? Trust me, if I could get Dak to leave Dallas, I would. I, too, want him out of Dallas. The city and organization have been great to me and our family, but done with the drama and the so-called fans, but he loves this team and wants to bring it rings." So there you have Tad Prescott attacking the Cowboys fans. Then you had Micah Parsons' brother going after Cowboys fans as well. But if it's just a player's brother going after fans, it's not the right thing to do. Like, if I'm an athlete and my brother's getting into it with the fan base, I would say we should be above that. I would tell my brothers to be quiet and stop and keep my name out of your mouth, even though it's probably done in a good place and it's coming from a good place because you're defending your brother, you're defending your loved one. But I think one of the craziest, and it kind of got swept under the rug, also in the aftermath of that playoff loss, CeeDee Lamb's mother went on Facebook and said, "Dak isn't it." You know, it's one thing if you're going after the fans. You can't be related to a player and then going after his own teammates, especially when your son relies on the quarterback to get him the ball. So that was probably the craziest one. And then also you had Jerry Jones, who puts his foot in his mouth, but it's done intentionally, where he's like, "We're all in this offseason." And the most memorable part from the Cowboys offseason is Skip Bayless tweeting out, "All in, comma, pause, comma, pause, comma, pause, my ass," when Skip Bayless tweeted that out. Because what was the best move that the Cowboys made this offseason? Getting a reunion and bringing back home Ezekiel Elliott? This team didn't get better. This team got worse. And I have no reason to believe that the Cowboys should be a playoff team this year. Like the last 3 years, I at least thought they'd be a playoff team. I looked at the Cowboys and I said, they're a good team. They'll get double-digit wins, and then they'll come up short come playoff time. But this team didn't get better. And the NFC is slowly getting better. Philadelphia, I think, is going to bounce back. They were 10-1 before they crapped the bed, but they have so much talent. This offseason, they went out, they added more talent. They got Saquon Barkley. That's a team that's actually all in. The Chicago Bears, they're getting better. The Lions showed that they could be a championship team from a year ago or look like a championship team. Green Bay is just getting started once again. Minnesota, they shouldn't start Sam Darnold come week 1, but if you start J.J. McCarthy, you got some talent there. Like every team in the NFC North is solid. You look at the South, I think the Falcons will win that division. They'll be a double-digit win team. The Bucs just made the playoffs a year ago. Even with Baker Mayfield and losing Tom Brady. The 49ers, elite. Rams, still going to be really strong, even though they just lost Aaron Donald. We'll see if the Seahawks and the Cardinals can bounce back. But I look at Dallas, and I'm saying, okay, you got Dak, you got Micah, you got CD, sure, some big names, but this is a team, even after the last 3 years, 12 wins, 12 wins, 12 wins, it seems like their time to go win or go get to an NFC title game has come and gone. Because what are they doing to get better? What moves are they making to get better? It's not like this is an offseason where at least we could poke fun at them and say, they won the offseason. They'll eventually mess it up. They didn't win the offseason at all. All they've won in the offseason is making headlines that have nothing to do with helping the football team. But through all of this, CeeDee Lamb's mother going after Dak, Micah Parsons' brother, and Dak Prescott's brother going after the fan base, Jerry Jones saying this team is all in and then literally doing nothing. I kind of think this beef that happened in the last week between Micah Parsons and Malik Hooker, teammates, let me remind you, not someone that just left the organization and then's talking crap on Micah Parsons. They're still teammates. This got to take the cake. It really does. So let me play you. This is Malik Hooker. We have 2 cuts here. This is Malik Hooker on the All Facts, No Breaks podcast with Keyshawn Johnson. He was asked, because the Cowboys, remember, haven't paid Dak a new contract yet. That's not going to happen. And Dak, if he wants to hit free agency, he can because he has a no-tag clause. They still haven't paid CeeDee Lamb, and they still haven't paid Micah Parsons. So here is Malik Hooker responding to the question by Keyshawn Johnson on who the Cowboys should actually pay first.
All of them should get their money, but who should go first?
CD, I put probably Dak second. I'll put Zach. And then Micah got weight, man. He's still a young dog, man. Well, I'm gonna just go ahead and say this now. Micah should be. Micah, he shouldn't be yet. I wouldn't put Micah yet. I feel like we still got a lot to prove. Micah still has a lot to prove. Like he's done a great job his first couple years in the league. Don't get me wrong. He's a fantastic player, but I feel like Micah still has a surface that he don't even know that he can scratch as far as what he's doing. So I would say Micah. I would say Micah's last.
Santer, just play a game here for me. Pretend you knew nothing about Malik Hooker, besides the fact that he plays for the Cowboys. Now, you could listen to that answer, and you could maybe say, oh, this is Malik just trying to motivate Micah a little bit. And you would think, right, he's like the old, wise veteran, a guy that's probably on like the 18th hole of his career, right? When you hear that, wouldn't you think Malik Hooker's like at least in his 30s? Has been around the league for a while. He's like 32, 33, and he's just trying to get the young pup in Micah Parsons just really fired up, correct?
Yeah, something like that, but also just generally don't talk about other people's money.
I
Especially
agree.
on your own team.
But Micah Parsons is 25. He was born in 99. Malik Hooker was born in 96. He's only 28 years old. And no offense to Malik Hooker, like if you were 33, 34, and you've accomplished a lot in this league, and you were like a guy that could potentially be a Hall of Famer, I think that would be viewed as someone just trying to motivate a youngster. But Malik Hooker has been a fine player in the NFL. He was a first-round pick by Indianapolis, but he's never been a star in this league. And he's talking about the star of the Cowboys defense. So that is bonkers For Malik Hooker to say, and no one's really talking about Zach Martin's money, but people are talking about Dak. People are talking about CD. You throw Zach in there, you're like, yeah, Micah Parsons last. He's got a whole lot more to prove. So Malik Hooker didn't stop there. He then discussed Micah Parsons' in-season podcast. Once again, this is on the All Facts No Break show with Keyshawn Johnson.
I don't have a problem with it. I feel like a lot of these guys, though, they just get on there sometimes and they start falling into the part of, just saying stuff that, for the clicks and, having people to come view and stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't have no problem with it. My thing would be, though, for Micah, my advice would be for Micah would be, just make sure we're all right, where we're and being where your feet are. Because if we're at work and, the run game's terrible, but you're doing a podcast every week and, the run game is terrible, then, what are you really caring about? Are you caring about the crowd that, is watching your podcast? Are you caring about the success of our team and the Super Bowl that we're trying to reach?
So basically told him, you're doing your podcast, and if things aren't going well for us, it's a bad look when you do the podcast, and we wonder where your commitment level is. That's what he basically said. So Micah Parsons never sits one out, and in credit to him and in fairness to him, he should jump into this one. Because Malik Hooker is a teammate of yours, and he's talking all this crap about him. So Micah Parsons goes online and he says, just wish you would have said this to me, but instead on some podcast. And you got my number, family. Malik, you are my locker mate. So you could have said this any day, and you do realize I shoot the podcast on our off days. why ain't we talking about everyone preparation and focus? That's what Micah Parsons then responded back, and he's since deleted those comments. Jerry Jones is sitting there, right? He has that McDonald's, McGriddle sandwich or whatever. I don't eat at McDonald's, but that's a sandwich that he has or something from Hard Knocks, and he puts the 15 pounds of salt on that disgusting sandwich that he eats. He's sitting there, and he's licking his chops before he eats that, because this is what Jerry Jones loves. He probably called up Malik Hooker and said, "You're getting a raise, big fella." That's what he probably said to him. Because now you have Micah Parsons annoyed at Malik Hooker, and it's one of those situations where it's there's drama once again in Jerry's world. The Cowboys have so much drama. You have a quarterback that's not getting paid. You have a head coach who's basically a lame duck coach in the final year of his contract. And now you got members of the defense. It's not the first time this offseason, but you got members of the defense going at one another. This team, they've been able to survive a lot throughout the years. This is where I think it implodes. I really do. I'm already out. It's July 1st. Training camp hasn't even started. We haven't even had a stupid preseason game yet. There hasn't even been a regular season game yet. I'm already out on the Cowboys. I think there's too much drama, but that's the way the Cowboys like it. But I think there's too much drama even for the Cowboys this year to put out a good quality product and go on to actually right the wrongs from a few years ago and get some revenge from what everyone's been saying about this team. I don't even think they'll be in a position. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. I think the Cowboys will be on the outside looking in come playoff time, because eventually when there's all this noise, there's all this dysfunction, and there's all this drama, it's got to catch up to you. And I think there's too much smoke here, and there's going to be a big fire in the Cowboys season, and it's going to be ugly. Dallas will not be one of my 7 teams to make the playoffs out of the NFC, Samter.
Wow. I mean, there's nothing else to say other than wow. With the talent on that team, if they were to miss the playoffs, considering the regular season success that they've had over the past half decade, if they were to miss the playoffs, I think that would be one of the biggest shockers in the NFL.
I can't really call it that big of a shocker. Hear me out.
Especially in that division?
Hear me out. Eagles win the division, let's just say.
Yep.
And no one repeats in that division, and Dallas won it last year. So let's say Eagles win the division. Then in the North, I'll go the Detroit Lions. The South, I'll take Atlanta. And the West, I'll go the 49ers. Those are 4 teams in, all division winners. There's 3 spots left. Even after adding the extra wild card spot, I trust the Rams more heading into this season. I trust the Green Bay Packers more heading into this season. Quite frankly, I think the Bears are going to be 10-7, and Chicago will make the postseason. Tampa Bay is more than capable of making the postseason. Seattle could bounce back. There's always teams that make the playoffs one year and then miss it the next. Distractions are a thing, and there's too many distractions with this team. The coach doesn't know his future. The quarterback doesn't know his future. And now you have members of the defense fighting on podcasts about someone doing too many podcasts and questioning a commitment level. And it's not like he just questioned Joe Schmo. This is the star of your defense that you're questioning. Big, 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 big problems in Dallas. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We have big, 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 big problems here at the Infinity Sports Network. We asked some people to participate in a little athletic competition, and it did not go well over the weekend in Rahway, New Jersey, as we participated in a charity kickball tournament. We got all the tea, and we'll spill all the tea when we come on back about the charity kickball game with the Infinity Sports Network team that we did put together, or I put together.
I wasn't asked.
Well, I did ask you on the air.
No.
I asked you on the air, and you said, no, I'm not doing that.
When did you ask me?
I didn't ask you via email, but I asked you on the air like a month ago.
Did
I asked every single person at this network, at this station. I was begging people to participate.
I couldn't have done it anyway, but
I know you wouldn't have done it anyway.
No, I couldn't have, but
You would not have participated in the kickball.
I might have. I haven't played kickball since day camp.
Trust me. I played in 5 or 6 games, and I was
5 or 6 games.
Yeah, it was a whole tournament.
Oh man,
I was in the outfield in center field, and I was running all over. And then I walked 3 miles back to my apartment. My legs the tournament was on Saturday. So I had Sunday to rest, still on fire today.
There you go. It's good for you.
Yeah, my legs are in better shape than EJ's legs. We'll get into that on the other
Is that
side.
why EJ wasn't in today?
Got hurt. Got hurt in a big way. We'll tell you
really?
more about it on the other side. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance. Just as things are going great for the Celtics, winning championship number 18, ownership announced plans to sell the team. The group, headed by Wick Grossbeck, has been in control for over 20 years. The floodgates have opened on NBA free agency, and it's the end of the Splash Brothers with Klay Thompson heading to Dallas for a 3-year, $50 million deal as part of a sign and trade. Paul George, the first to find a new home, heading to Philly, and the Sixers also re-signing Tyrese Maxey to a 5-year deal worth over $200 million. With George's arrival comes Tobias Harris's departure. He goes to Detroit for 2 years, $52 million. And Isaiah Hartenstein leaves the East and the Knicks for 3 years in Oklahoma City, worth $87 million. Playoff hero Sam Reinhart staying in Florida, re-signing with the Panthers for 8 years, $69 million, while Jake Gentz on the Lightning come to terms on a 7-year, $63 million deal. It comes at the cost of seeing Steven Stamkos leave Tampa after 16 years. He gets a 4-year deal in Nashville. The Preds also signed Jonathan Marchessault and Brady Shea. I'm Rich Echo.
You make the call. 855-212-4227. When you want to talk to us, call 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Watch the breakdown.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it's time to ask the pros. You, the listener, gets to ask us a question on the Zach Gelb Show, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag #AskThePros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. So the big charity kickball game, well, kickball tournament, it did happen over the weekend on Saturday in beautiful Rahway, New Jersey. Bills offensive lineman, college buddy of mine, Deion Dawkins, was hosting the event. And I didn't realize how organized this was going to be. I didn't understand the seriousness and the competitive nature of this tournament. There was like 5 games, 3 innings each that you needed to play before you got into the playoffs or before you got into the championship round. So there's qualifying rounds. Well, the Infinity Sports Network team, we kind of had to throw in the towel after game 2. Now, I stayed along with my two other buddies from Temple, Mike and Corey, and we got put on another team. And we actually, that team was 0-2 when we got there, and we won their first game with them. And I made a great catch in center field. My buddy Corey had the game-winning kick, and we brought them some life. We brought them some hope. And then we eventually made the playoffs. We made the championship rounds, and we lost, I think, right before you could place. So you'd be one of the top 3 teams. So we did a good job there. But I knew our team was mentally cooked when EJ, the producer of Maggie and Perloff, who I thought was going to be a star in this charity kickball tournament, just how he showed up. He had the joggers on. You know, they give you a bandana when you play. You know, he was looking like $1 million, EJ. And he was stretching, warming up before the game. And I go, oh, EJ's going to be a player. And there was stealing in this kickball tournament. So you would just have to take off before the ball was released from the pitcher. So in the first inning, EJ is on second. He goes to steal third. And as he's landing at third, he collapses. So I'm like, at first, because I was right in the dugout at that time, I'm thinking to myself, man, EJ's really going all out. You know, he just slid in a charity kickball game into third base. Turns out, though, it was a non-contact leg injury. And at first, we thought he tore his ACL. Like, I'm not a doctor. I won't pretend to be a doctor. But EJ was saying, I heard something pop. I thought it was a torn ACL. So I walked over. We did, what is it, the fireman carry? When you have someone, basically 2 people go underneath your shoulder. So I helped fireman carry EJ to the dugout. The moment that happened, we lost Maggie in the game. You know, Maggie, who I thought was going to be a star, I thought she was going to be our best player. She was basically like the Jamarcus Russell of our kickball team. You know, the high draft pick, going to be the star, and then just didn't have the commitment level. Because Maggie then, she went into mom mode. The moment EJ got hurt, she's like, I got to drive EJ to the hospital. We got to get an ace bandage on this. And her kid was there. You know, Maggie's kid was there. She was caring more for EJ than her actual kid. But I will say this, Maggie's husband was like freaking Pele. He played college soccer. He was tremendous at the dish, and he was even better in the field. So I give Maggie's husband credit, but the moment that happened, Maggie went from being all in on the kickball to then EJ got hurt, I'm done. But actually, on that morning show, which I love, and I'm a company guy, the most disappointing person actually was Perloff. Perloff thought he was like Juju Smith-Schuster. He cared more about the TikTok, the social media posts. You know, he walks in with the breakaway pants, and he could barely even rip them off his body. He's like, record this, record that. You know, he was like Micah Parsons. He was just caring about the podcast, right? In this case, the social media posts. So I do want to say this, though, even though the kickball tournament didn't go our way. You know, I admire the effort of EJ. I do. He actually had a torn patella tendon, which is just mind-boggling. That happened in a charity kickball game. Shows that everyone around here, even yours truly, is getting a little bit old with how sore I am today after going on to play like 4 more games after the team just threw in the towel and they placed me on a different team. But EJ was kind of our Aaron Rodgers. You know, no ayahuasca, no Egypt, no darkness retreats, but there was a lot of hype around EJ, and this injury happened in the first game in the first inning. It's kind of like Rodgers debuting for the Jets against the Bills, and then 4 plays into the season, the Jets season came just right to a halt. And the season was over. And also, our boss, David Mayernick, Samter, you think Dave's a good or bad kickball player? By the way, Mike.
See, I could see either way. I could see him being an absolute klutz that can't get the ball past the pitcher. But I could also see him being like a secret assassin who's just like, pinging, doubles and liners all over the field. So knowing that he has the laugh of Mr. Belding, I'm going with the first one, that he was an absolute klutz and couldn't get it past the shortstop.
If I was mean, which I was not, and Dave takes center field right out of the gate, which is a tough position in this kickball tournament, I'm like, okay, Dave is going to show himself. Dave's going to be awesome. He demanded to play center field. If this was a Sandlot, I would have been yelling at him, "You're killing me, Smalls!" There was one, I saved Dave in this tournament for the first game. A ball hit off his chest. I was playing right field. I came running over and then snagged the ball as it was about to hit the ground, which ended the inning. There was only one player in the entire tournament to not steal the base. Like even EJ, when he tore the patellar tendon, at least stole the base.
He was safe?
He was safe.
Good for him.
It was a non-contact injury. It wasn't even close. Like he was completely safe. Dave was the only person, and it happened in the next inning after the EJ injury, to get picked off and get caught stealing, which ended the inning, and then the team just collapsed after that. And we got blown out in the first game. But Dave, fielding-wise, was like Luis Castillo. Remember the Met-Yankee game where there was a pop-up and A-Rod slammed his bat? We all thought the game was over. That was Dave. The first game didn't kill us, even though he had the stolen base and the drop ball, which I saved. But in the second game, it was almost as if the ball was magnetically connected to Dave. It was crazy. The ball just kept on getting kicked to him, and just as it was about to get close, like it just went just past him. So that was kind of the kickball tournament. And then you want to hear Perloff, why I call him Juju Smith-Schuster, because he only cares about social media? Dion walks over to EJ after we got EJ situated. He's like, "We're going to take care of you, blah, 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 blah." Like Dion, is the nicest guy. And he's just being such a good dude talking to EJ. And in the middle of this heartfelt moment between EJ and Deion Dawkins, where Deion Dawkins is basically blessing the leg of EJ and like holding the leg and making sure it's in place and he's all right, Perloff's like, "Oh, we need a team photo with you, Deion." Like they're in the midst of a really nice conversation, like a genuine heartfelt moment. And Perloff's like, "Hey, Deion, enough of, talking about producer. We need a team photo." And then they all left. And then myself, my friend Corey, my friend Mike, we got placed on a different team. We went through the entirety of the tournament. And then I'm like a moron because it was a mile from the Rahway train station. It was a mile to walk there and a mile to walk back. Then I took the train into Penn Station. After playing a full day of kickball, I think I had like 15,000 steps on my phone. And my phone wasn't always in my pocket. I get to Penn Station. I go, I'm going to walk to my apartment, home from my apartment. It's a beautiful day. A 3.5 mile walk. My legs are on fire today. But at least I made it through the entirety of the kickball. The only one that gets a pass is EJ because he got hurt stealing third base. Everybody else, they bailed after 2 games. And I think they used EJ as an excuse because I think they got spooked out, which I can understand to some extent, where they're like, "Oh, EJ got hurt. He's in somewhat good shape." So then everyone else is probably like, "Yeah, I'm going to bail in the kickball tournament." Chael Sonnen going to join us next. We'll recap UFC 303. This is Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, rocking and rolling. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. Chael Sonnen's going to join us coming up in a few moments. The former MMA fighter, he was a part of all the desk coverage for UFC 303, which was really a crazy card with all the changes. Originally, it was supposed to be McGregor going up against Chandler. Then you had a new main event. You also had a new co-main event. And you saw Alex Pereira eventually beat Yuri once again, where there was a knockout, or it looked like it was going to be a knockout right as the horn sounded and the bell did go off at the end of the first round. And then 12 seconds into the second round, boom, Pereira knocks out Yuri. But what transpired with Dan Ige and Diego Lopez is the craziest thing I think I've ever seen. And I'm a casual UFC fan. I am. I've become more and more of a fan the last few years. But what transpired where originally it was supposed to be Ortega against Lopez, and Ortega couldn't make weight. So Lopez agrees to fight a weight class up. And then the morning of the fight, I guess Ortega had 103-degree fever. So no one knew he was going to be forced out. And I'm watching I think it's the preliminaries when I was watching it, because I was all over the entire card. And in the preliminaries, they say Ortega's out, and Dan Ige, who has a fight coming up in July, I think on July 20th, he's in the area training in Las Vegas. I guess he lives in the area. He agrees to do the fight. Think about that. He agrees to do the fight, wasn't training for this, and then they go to weigh in, and they had to go up another weight class. So Diego Lopez, in 2 days, had to go up not only 2 weight classes, he had to fight someone he wasn't even preparing for. So I don't know what was more impressive. Was it Ige just basically, who was training for the fight, just showing up and participating, which was ridiculous. If he would have won, it would have been one of the sickest things I've ever seen. Or it was Lopez, who he could have just bailed out. He okayed the 2 weight class changes and also the new opponent. So that was absolutely wild. But if you listen to me, I got a chance to see Alex Pereira fight in person twice. Twice. I got a chance to see him fight in person. And I remember walking away the second time I saw him, and I was just enamored by him. The intro is insane. The background story. This guy's about to turn 37, and it feels like he's just getting started, which is why he turned 37 this weekend. It's crazy. But Pereira, we were once talking, I talked to Dana White about this, about the possibility of another rematch with him and Adesanya for a middleweight. That was back after Pereira won at Madison Square Garden in November. Again. And it wasn't against Adesanya this time. It was against Yuri. It's the first. It was the other time they fought. And there was talks about maybe Adesanya and Alex Pereira fighting then again. And now we have abandoned that middleweight dream. And now we're talking about Pereira potentially fighting in a heavyweight bout against John Jones. So UFC 303, the aftermath of it was crazy. Chael Sonnen does a great job, the former MMA fighter, and obviously he was sensational on the broadcast coverage. Really enjoyed him at the desk. I saw Dustin Poirier was on there as well, and he's kind enough to join us right now. Chael, appreciate the time. Thanks so much for it. How you been?
That was a beautiful introduction, man, and you got it exactly right. I tried to call John Jones. I wanted to be a hero for you, so I tried to call John Jones to tell you what he was seeing, what he was thinking, if we could get that fight. I had bubbles. Like he wrote the message, but he never hit send. I don't know what was on the other end of it, and I'm dying. This is like 10 minutes ago. I'm dying to know what John's thinking about Pereira.
Well, we all got ghosted. I just guess you got ghosted by John Jones.
Well, you know, I guess there is a point where you have to elect yourself mayor of Get to Hintsville. My last interaction with John Jones was 5 years ago, and he, again, wrote back immediately, but it was not only a middle finger emoji, he skin-toned it, and it was the funniest FU I've ever gotten.
Well, let me start you off with this. Because, you know,
Can you hear me? Is this on? I'm giving you fire right now. What, we got a bad service?
No, it's sensational. We always know you step up and deliver. But I want to ask you this, because I remember being at UFC in November, and everyone after that fight was talking about seeing Pereira drop back down to middleweight and fight Adesanya again. And then it's okay, he goes and wins in the light heavyweight, and we know what Pereira's been able to do. But now just the fact, Chael, that we're talking about him fighting in the heavyweight division, I've never seen a rise like this. It's crazy.
In sport. And this is a challenge. You're a sports guy. Your listeners are. If it happened, please tell me. I can guarantee it never happened in combat sport. I'm telling you in sport. I'm old enough to remember when Bo Jackson was playing football and went and played baseball, but he wasn't 36 when he started, and he didn't become the best in the world. I have never seen a rise like this. Basketball, baseball, any way you want to do it. This might be the great athlete of all time. I mean, right, that's silly. It might be true.
How much longer will this continue to go? Because you just said it, right? He got his start so late, right? We know it with the kickboxing, the history, and the story, but he turns 37 this week.
Brother, it's just beginning. And let me tell you why. And here's one thing, and please mark my words. You'll be glad that you called me from Uncle Chael's mouth only. Okay, these guys that he's beaten, they all went and fought him. Yuri Prochazka Saturday night went and fought him. He brought his skills. Bruce Seldon never did that. Peter McNeely never did that. Frank Bruno never did that. Nobody aside from Evander Holyfield ever did that against Mike Tyson. When they reach that level of fear, the Anderson Silva level of fear, where the guys that leave all the skills in the locker room and they just try to get back to their family in one piece, that is what just happened Saturday. That fight that you just saw Alex in, that's the last time you're going to see Alex fight. And tell John, if and when they ever get John, you will never see him fight again. You'll see him in the ring. You'll see him make his walk. You will never see anybody try to beat that guy again.
I know that Dana will keep on saying that John Jones is pound for pound the best fighter in the UFC, and it's tough to argue it. But do you think Alex Pereira is the best pound for pound fighter in the UFC now?
If Alex Pereira, the GOAT conversation is very fun. The greatest of all time is such a fun conversation. If Alex Pereira is to win the heavyweight championship, so that would make him champ, first ever, we will no longer have that conversation. The heated debate you heard between Dana and the media on Saturday will never happen again. When it's time to talk about GOAT, we will just say Alex Pereira. I don't believe that he's surpassed John Jones. That's something I'd have to see to believe. John is something very special that I have a hard time explaining his skills and ability. Brother, I'm in that same spot with Pereira. I'm flipping over my words right now. I've never seen – I can't explain. He doesn't have some secret coach. He has some secret training. Anytime we see this, it's Olympic year, we'll see that in a month when the games kick off. We'll see some country come out of nowhere like Jamaica did 8 years ago. They're on steroids. They're like the Russians. There's no great secret. They got a hold of a great chemist. That's not what's happening here. This guy's clean. He's above board, and he just found a game that he can play better than anybody else.
Chael Sonnen here with us, delivering us fire right on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. So I understand people saying he's not the best fighter in the sport right now, but he's got to be the face of the UFC, Alex Pereira, right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's down to him and Sean O'Malley. I personally think maybe Sean's got him nudged just a little bit. I have some numbers to support that, but that's not going to continue. Like, Sean will up his game. I shouldn't say it wouldn't continue. I'm just sharing with you the bump that Alex Pereira got 2 days ago. Like, Dana White was not planning this. This was not the direction. Nobody believed this could happen. We had plenty of kickboxers come over. We had plenty of middle-aged guys come over. It doesn't work this way. There's no great secrets, man. I've seen this guy lift weights. Not a lot of them. I've seen this guy run, and it was fast. Wasn't that fast. Like, there's nothing here that is unique. There's nothing here that's special. I can't, I mean, he doesn't have a trick move. He's not overly dynamic. He's never had a wrestling match. He has no color belt in jiu-jitsu, at least not that I know of. I know he's never had a competitive match. This has never happened. This is a straight-up kickboxer. We used to tease kickboxers. In 1993, when they started to figure out what arts work and which ones don't, kickboxing was one of the first ones laughed at.
Do you actually think that Pereira won't fight again until it's John Jones? Because he always takes fights. That's what I love about him. He's always in the octagon.
Oh, no. Hey, this John Jones come out of everybody's mouth, you and I, everybody, and I'm sure John's talked about it today too. And one thing about John, whether he pushed send back and I got bubbles or not, I will speak for John. He will take that fight. John Jones is not scared of Alex Pereira, not even maybe a little tiny bit. He just has his hands full right now with Stipe. So, but let's set that aside. To your question specifically, Pierre has not said that. Pierre actually said the opposite. He said, I will fight anybody, and I'm always ready. And I have to believe him. A lot of guys say that's hyperbole, but he saved the show 2 nights ago. He saved UFC 300. Yeah. He wasn't booked on that card. And to do it, he offered to go up to heavyweight and fight Tom Aspinall, our current champion in the absence of John Jones. I mean, this guy's the real deal. I don't know where he gets the confidence from. He got nothing special. There is nothing about that I have, me personally, that I would give to have what he has. Like a genie pops out of the bottle. I can trade him straight across. Nothing. Hey, no wrestling experience. He doesn't even have fighting experience. He got an amateur record. 11 fights. That includes amateur. 11 in total. That's nothing. You could get that in a month in certain jurisdictions.
So what?
He's the best.
So
he has no black belt. He has no black belt in the art. He's got 2 gold belts that say he's the best. You can't make the story up.
So what's next for him? Like, do we start to hear noise about Adesanya again? Like who do you think his next fight will be?
No, most definitely it will not be Adesanya. You're going to start hearing about Ankalaev. And I know what you're thinking right now. The same thing everybody else is what did Chael say, followed by who? But he's just the only guy that's left. And the problem there is Ankalaev does have the one skill set. He's a fighter from Dagestan, which means he has high-level grappling, one of Khabib's guys. And the one style that we haven't seen Alex dominate or even defeat is that kind of a wrestler, and it's not worth the risk, in my opinion. To take the risk that this guy could get over on this guy called Ankalaev, I think that's a nickname. I don't know, maybe it's a first name or last name. I don't even know, and I'm not trying to be funny right now. To take the risk of him taking the spot of your biggest star, I don't know. Dana White's a big gambler, man. I don't know if he's that big.
Chael Sonnen here with us. Do you ever think we'll see McGregor and Chandler, or is this just going to kept on getting pushed and pushed back further and further?
No, I don't believe so. I'll put it to you this way. We were very unlikely to ever get this match, and nobody was more resistant than Dana. In fact, Conor put out a piece on his massive social media that the fight was going to happen on June 29th, International Fight Week, him and Chandler, 5 rounds, the whole bit. And Dana White did a media tour to let the world know, no, it is not. I mean, he went on Pat McAfee, he went on CBS Radio, he let everybody know that is not true. That statement was not put out by me or the company. And I only share that with you as he was very reluctant to do the one that just fell through. And I don't know why. That never came out. Dana was a gentleman through this whole process, and Dana protected Conor through this whole process. But Dana's also known something through this entire process, and I do not believe you're going to fool him twice.
So then what's next for Chandler? Because I feel that's what gets lost here. I feel bad. He's been waiting, and I don't believe that fight happens until we actually see it.
Well, and you should have heard him. You should have heard poor Chandler. You know, he's such an entertainer. He's such a handsome guy. I really like this guy. But he's 36 years old. You can't be a cage fighter and a Division I wrestler and be 36 years young. He's 36 years old, and he was cutting this promo about you've got to believe, and he like sounded like Anthony Robbins. This positivity, and it's going to be a me and Conor. It's like, hey, Chandler, first off, in case you never read any of those positivity books that usually turn out not to be true, you can't do it when you're counting on somebody else, particularly a drug addict, in this case, Conor McGregor. And secondly, if you get the fight, you look like a good negotiator. If you don't get the fight, you look like you're unemployed, which was you for 2 years, currently are. Do something else, Chandler. You're a prize fighter. To get the prize, you got to go fight.
What's more likely?
You can't get this. You're going to miss me when this interview hangs up, correct? You can't get this kind of insight. KLP is on fire over here.
You are on fire. There's no doubt about it. But what's more likely? Chandler and McGregor get into the octagon, or Stipe and John Jones gets into the octagon?
You're a genius for asking, and I love questions like this. All right, let me just think for 2 seconds. It's going to be Stipe and Jones. And those guys have one thing that Conor McGregor doesn't, which is bills that they can't pay. They can both pretend to be set up, and I know that's part of John's shtick. He likes to act it. He's not fighting because he wants to. He's fighting because he has to, and that's the major difference with McGregor. They say a rich man can't fight. I mean, that's an expression that goes back to Sugar Ray Leonard. They coined Thomas Hearns with it, or Marvin Hagler, but it was actually Sugar Ray that said that. He says you can't get up and run 5 miles in the morning when you wake up in silk sheets. And you will see Jones and you will see Stipe, but that's because they got to.
Chael Sonnen here with us for a few more minutes. Before we let you run, let me get back to UFC 303. How about what Diego Lopez did and the story of Dan Ige and then the Ortega having to drop out because he was sick, Lopez going up 2 weight classes, Ige coming over from down the street, practically training in July for a fight. I've never seen anything like that. When I was watching the card and you guys explained it, I was like, did I tune into The Onion? Is this really going on? I didn't believe it.
Yeah, it is amazing. I mean, one thing about this sport, in all fairness, is we are going to fiercely adhere to whatever rules we make up on the spot. But, yeah, so to make believe that you have the authority to weigh somebody in outside of the window of weigh-ins, like there is a precedent that goes back over 40 years where weigh-ins are from, make up numbers, from 9 to 11 in the morning. And at 11:03, the guy comes and gets on the scale and is on weight, but he's late to the scale. Something happened. His clock was different. He's late. And he never fought. None of them ever fight. There's a reason. I mean, I just got to tell you, like, I love this, and this was so fun. But I love that it was so fun because I've never seen it. I've never seen it because you can't do it. At any rate, it's been done. And, yes, I see it the way you do. Like Lopez and what he agreed to do, he was 146 pounds the day before. He did not just move up 1 weight class. That was to fight Ortega. He moved up 2 weight classes in 1 day, which, again, you're not allowed to do unless you make up the rules as you go. But either way, that's not the point. It was a gangster move, and it was a great move by Ige as well. I enjoyed it.
I know Michael Page lost is just as simple as he can't get to the ground and he just has to deliver that knockout punch to win.
Yeah, I think that it is a little bit. Hey, I'll tell you one thing about Page. Like, as dynamic and frightened as he is, he's not very big. He cut some of the least amount of weight of anybody on the card. And I only tell you that because, yeah, he's got to land that knockout punch, and it's hard to do. It's really hard to knock somebody out that's bigger than you. It is a great misconception that there is a size advantage in this sport. Like Muhammad Ali was 198 pounds in his prime, and Mike Tyson literally did not weigh more than one single opponent he ever had. Like, it's a misconception, but it is hard to knock the guy out. That's a reality. Just your power changes. It's different, man. I thought it was great. I really was impressed.
Were you surprised? And I know, right, the judges and how fights are scored, nothing surprises me. It was that way with boxing, and you've seen a little bit of it in the UFC, just not as bad as it's been in boxing. Were you surprised that fight was as close? And Dana, I think, even said it could have been a coin flip. I thought Ian Machado Gary clearly won the fight.
Oh, did you really? You know what? I think if there was ever a fight, like I'm training a bunch of let's say I'm training a bunch of judges, so we're going to look at fights and look at rounds and debate them. If there was ever a fight that I've ever seen that I could show them that was an absolute draw, it was that one. I thought the first round, I thought the first round was clear to Ian. I thought the second round was clear to MVP, and so did all the judges. But when you went into the third round, it was 2.5 minutes on the dot. It was. I think it was 2:31 if we're being literal. Of one guy on top. Well, the other guy got that exact same position for 2:29. Like they literally split time on the same position. Generally speaking, when human nature comes into it, which judges are human beings, whoever did what I just described, they did it last, is the one that wins, and that's exactly what happened here.
I know you were with Dustin Poirier on Saturday on the desk. You guys are doing a kick-ass job. Poirier's talking about one last fight. You have any idea who that fight's going to be up against?
The leading candidate right now is Justin Gaethje, and there's really nothing that's happened. That's just if you talk to the fans, hey, what's the big one? What's the interesting one? What can you package up? What can you sell? But things could change very quickly. You know, the UFC is going to honor Michael Chandler. If you want to wait and Conor returns, we'll put you together. But that's as far as that goes. If Michael Chandler returns, everybody's fair game for McGregor. That would include Poirier. I'm not suggesting for you that that's the fight that's going to happen. I'm just star. And if you look at the guys that are available and the guys that are still competing, he could get something going with Colby Covington, but it hasn't happened yet. And the storylines and the things that are out there, trilogy, Justin Gaethje, I'm still in Vegas. If there was somewhere to bet that happens, I would.
He is Chael Sonnen, does a great job, of course, with Daniel Cormier, and also was all over the UFC 303 coverage on the desk. Chael, really appreciate the time. Thanks for doing this.
Yes, thanks for mentioning Daniel. He used to be a fighter. He was pretty good. All right.
Whatever happened to that guy? You know, what, did they ever work with that Rogan guy? You know, so there you go. Chael Sonnen with us on the show. Man, Samson, let me tell you, I've never talked to him. You know, I've heard him, obviously, on the broadcast. I literally think I would never have to drink coffee again if I just talked to Chael Sonnen each and every morning. Like, if I just called him and needed someone to motivationally speak to me for 5 minutes to wake me up, I think he'd be the perfect person to do so.
All right, let's make that happen. I mean, caffeine's not great for your body, so, let's go.
Actually, I drink black coffee, put nothing in it. My doctor said I could have like 2-3 cups a day. I don't. I only have 1 cup. But I don't think it's as unhealthy for you as you think.
What doctor is prescribing 3 cups of coffee a day?
Hey, I don't put any milk. I don't put any sugar in it. He goes, you could have a 2nd or 3rd cup if you really wanted to.
Good luck with that.
That's what happens when you're somewhat in shape. You know, I used to not be able to say that for 10 years, but now I guess I could say that.
Love it, baby.
That's what my doctor was telling me. I don't think it was like a voodoo doctor or anything like that, but that's just what I was getting told. You know, Yuri was claiming that Alex Pereira is like doing magic. That was some weird build-up.
My 2nd cup of coffee, I'm shaking like a leaf.
Oh, are you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think you're always worried, though.
No. It's just the caffeine. My body just can't take too much caffeine, and I just start shaking. Mm-hmm. Not from worry, not from any kind of stress. It's just pure caffeine.
You may want to get that checked out. That doesn't seem all that healthy.
Which is why I don't have a 2nd cup of coffee.
But maybe you shouldn't have 1 if your body's shaking after 1 cup of coffee.
No, after 2.
Oh, if you have the 2nd.
If I have a 2nd cup of coffee, my body starts. But I think a lot of people, if they have too much caffeine, I mean, they look like they're a crack addict running around the street.
That's one way to put it. All righty, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Klay Thompson looks like he has a new home. We'll tell you who it is, and we'll discuss next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
All righty, let's get you caught up to date on Klay Thompson. This is the Zach Gelb Show. So Klay Thompson intends to sign a 3-year contract worth $50 million with a player option, and he's going to be joining the Dallas Mavericks. Now, there could be some complications here. Nothing is official until July 6th anyway, but I guess the Warriors are going to do some sign and trade, and there's a lot of... So I don't know where Denver was, but if you're looking to go win a championship and kind of play like that Ray Allen role on the Miami Heat, I thought he should have just gone to the Denver Nuggets. That's what I would have done if I was Klay Thompson. But you can't crush him going to Dallas, because as long as Kyrie is committed to playing basketball and, his focus is on basketball when the ball gets thrown up in the air for the season, you put a team with Luka and Kyrie that we already saw them get to the NBA Finals where they were locked in together for 3-4 months. Now you add Klay. That's another guy that could sit there and knock down shots. So it's a good move by the Dallas Mavericks. And it's a good move by Klay Thompson because it was time to end. His time was done in Golden State. You know, Golden State a year ago, they gave the 4-year contract, $100 million to Draymond Green. That was stupid then. It's stupid now. They should not have done that. That's paying a player for his past, not what he'll do in the future. However, you look at Klay, it is going to be weird seeing him in a different uniform, and now you'll see him in Dallas. But it's better for his career because he wasn't winning another championship again with Golden State. And now I think the fascinating part of this is, what are the Warriors going to do? Like, Stu, you just said after, Klay goes to Dallas and, right, KCP, he goes from Denver, and he used to be a Laker, but he goes from Denver to Orlando. It's like, you just said, what the heck do the Lakers do? Now what do the Golden State Warriors do? You still got Steph, and you didn't get Paul George. There was rumors that maybe they were going to get Paul George. Paul George goes to the Sixers, and now he's competing with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. But I actually look at this whole Klay Thompson situation. It's a good move for Klay to go to Dallas. That's not the fascinating part to me. The fascinating part is, how do you find a way to preserve the championship window that Steph Curry could still bring? Like, Steph Curry's still an elite player in this league. And you botched it last year by committing $100 million to Draymond. Now Klay's gone, which I understand, but it shouldn't have been one or the other. It should have been both back or both gone. But you're not going to double down at this point after you saw the Draymond thing blow up in your face. And then you weren't able to do anything in this offseason so far. You know, maybe Durant comes and saves the day. And maybe Durant goes, Phoenix, I can't stand your guts, which that's more of a Durant problem than a Phoenix problem. And he goes to Golden State. But outside of that, I got nothing. And it's kind of a sad thing that Steph's still there. And they rewarded Draymond. Klay left. And neither of those guys should have been brought back, you know, in just being honest. And they've missed that opportunity to kind of retool this team and refix this team. You know, it would have been nice to see LeBron go out there. You put LeBron and Steph together. We knew that wasn't going to happen, though. That was a pipe dream, and I led that pipe dream. But now, Stu, I turn my attention to Durant. But then everyone will tell you that the Rockets are in play for Durant because they got all their picks back, you know, the Suns' picks back in that trade with the Nets that they made last week. And I don't know about you, Stu, and I know you're a big NBA guy. Do you think Durant is really checking his ego at the door and basically walking back to Golden State with his tail in between his legs when he already left there? Like, I have a tough time envisioning that, but that's the only thing I can think of.
No, I'd be pretty shocked if that happened. I just don't see that happening. I mean, I've seen on Twitter people have mentioned Lauri Markkanen as a guy that Utah's trying to trade. Maybe he's a piece, but I don't think that really does much for them. I mean, it's just another scorer. I don't think that makes them like a contender or anything like that.
So you also have to think of it this way, too. Look how long it took Damian Lillard to request a trade from the Trailblazers and actually go through with that. We had like 4 years of buildup on that, and he was afraid of being looked at as the bad guy. Steph is under contract for 2 more seasons, this season and the next season, I believe. And then he's a free agent in 2026, 2027. Steph won't do it. He won't. But I'm kind of at the point where, after seeing the way this offseason looks like it's going to go, and it's once again not being mad that Klay Thompson left, but they weren't able to get Paul George. You know, I don't think Durant's coming back there. You know, I don't really think there's a move that Steph's going to be able to pull off here. And people want to play with Steph Curry. But I don't think there's going to be a move in the next year or two that's really going to happen where it's like, oh, wow, look at the Warriors. They've drastically changed. I think Steph should kind of force his way out, but he won't do that. So based off of Klay Thompson, assuming this does go down, he plans to sign with the Mavericks. We'll see how they'll cross the T's and dot the I's in the sign and trade. Who's a player that changed uniforms that when you look at it, it's just really bizarre and you're like, wow, that actually happened? And the name that I'll start off with is Jerry Rice. Obviously, everyone remembers Jerry Rice, greatest wide receiver of all time with the 49ers. And then when he was with the Raiders, that wasn't bizarre to me because it was him and Tim Brown. But Jerry Rice playing like the 8 or 9 games or whatever it was with the Seattle Seahawks, anytime I see a Jerry Rice photo with him in a Seahawks jersey, That is just absolutely bizarre. Ack, is there a player, I'll put you on a spot here, that you see and you're just like, ooh, that doesn't look right that he's wearing a different uniform, or when he did wear a different uniform?
I mean, there have been many throughout the years. Tom Seaver in the Cincinnati Reds uniform.
Montana with the Chiefs.
That was the next words out of my mouth. Walt Frazier in a Cleveland Cavaliers uniform. Boy, there are lots
How about
of
Willie
them.
with the Mets?
Willie Mays with the Mets?
Yeah, that was a little bit odd for me.
Yeah, a little different though, but I mean, boy, there are just a bunch of them though.
Patrick Ewing with the Sonics is one of them that stands out to me. Emmitt Smith with the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, and he broke the rushing record.
Yeah. Wade Boggs, who got his 3,000th hit with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays at the time, now the Tampa Bay Rays.
Samter, can I ask you a question?
No.
When were you born?
1980.
1980.
Yeah.
I thought Samter was like, yeah, Willie Mays with the Mets was a little bizarre to me. It was in 73.
Yeah, no.
I'm like, how old are you for crying out loud?
Looking back in history, so I think for me it's actually harder looking back historically at guys that I didn't get to see because you only see the highlights of those guys in a certain jersey, and then when you see them in a different jersey, you're like, that doesn't make sense for everything I've seen my whole life.
So who's your top one?
I think probably Wade Boggs with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays.
Okay. Didn't he go in the Hall of Fame? Wasn't there a stipulation in the contract?
Yeah, so because of him, they had to change everything. He went in as a Ray because of his contract, and he got his 2,000th hit. The first player ever to do it with a home run, and then Jeter did it also. So, fun times.
And Ack, who's yours? Number one?
Number one. Ooh. Joe Namath with the Rams. That's another one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So this is before my time, but people always talk about this. Johnny Unitas with the Chargers.
Okay.
That's a tough one.
See, I like the way that was before my time. You know, I'm always cognizant of that when I bring up like an older player. I'm not going to pretend to see as if I was alive when they played. That's why I just got a kick when Samter was like, Willie Mays. It was bizarre to see him with the Mets, and I'm like, damn, I know Samter's a little bit older, but I didn't think he was like ancient.
My top one is always going to be Tom Seaver as a Red, even though he had a really good career there and he was there for several years. It was sort of in his prime. He should never have left New York.
He's the franchise for the Mets,
and that's everything wrong about the situation.
All righty, Stu, who's yours? Just wondering, who's a player that it was just bizarre to see them in a different uniform?
Shaq in a Laker uniform.
Shaq in a Celtics uniform was the one I was going to go with.
Okay, because I was going to say, like, Shaq was in 10,000 different uniforms.
Yeah, he had like 7 teams, but still, in the Celtics uniform was so jarring to me.
Okay, that's just Stu with his Laker.
That's a good one, though.
It's solid, but, like, can you name me a team Shaq didn't play for?
Yeah, but you know what? Because Lakers and Celtics are such big rivals.
The rivalry, sure.
And he was really way at the tail end of his career at that point.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll come on back. We'll update you some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We call that the News Brief. Update time first, though. Here's the Ack Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, 2 weeks after winning title number 18, Celtics ownership is putting the team up for sale. Another big but not unexpected move comes from the Western Conference, with Klay Thompson leaving the Warriors for a 3-year deal in Dallas worth $50 million, a sign-and-trade deal. Thompson part of 6 Warriors teams that went to the finals and won 4 times. The Sixers spending a lot of money these last 24 hours. First, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey gets a 5-year extension worth $204 million. Isaiah Hartenstein leaves the Knicks for a 3-year deal with the Thunder worth $87 million, while Tobias Harris gets a 2-year deal with the Pistons worth $52 million. The Nashville Predators, the big spenders on day one of NHL free agency, signing former Lightning captain Steven Stamkos to a 4-year deal, Jonathan Marchessault to a 5-year deal, and Hurricanes defenseman Brady Shea to a 7-year deal. Jake Gensel signs with the Lightning, 7 years, $63 million, and Sam Reinhart staying in Florida, re-signing with the defending champs, 8 years, $69 million. Baseball right now, the Astros lead the Blue Jays 1-0, bottom 5. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X. Our handle is INF Sports Network. That's INF Sports Network on X.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Alrighty, let's listen up to the season with Peter Schrager. He had Dave Canales on, the new head football coach of the Carolina Panthers, and he said the offense won't be all about Bryce Young.
It all starts with the run game, and so having Robert and Damian in there, because I love our backfield, and then adding Jonathan Brooks, and then just again depth, talent. Just keep adding key pieces, challenge your roster, So that was what this draft and this offseason was all about. But I feel confident that we'll be able to have a successful run game, which for me opens everything else up and helps their down, and it helps move the ball and give you more opportunities.
Yeah, they've improved the offensive line. Their running backs don't really scare me, if I'm being honest. We'll see what Jonathan Brooks is going to be. Miles Sanders is there. I thought that was an overpay. Their wide receivers, like Adam Thielen had a solid year. He's not a number one, though. You get Deontay Johnson. You drafted the kid Leggett out of South Carolina. They got enough where Bryce Young should be able to swim this year and not sink like he did a year ago. But I still think that team has a ton of work to do. Here's Jonas Griffith of the Denver Broncos. He was on Denver Sports 104.3, and he talked about Sean Payton and the team's expectations.
There's a difference in the Sean Payton that the media gets versus that the players get. I mean, he's obviously been nothing but great to me. We talk all the time. And honestly, I think last year he was not grumpy towards maybe the players, maybe it was towards the media or whatever it may have been.
Sure.
I'm not really sure how that, that whole aspect went. But, I think he's very confident in the team this year. We're going to surprise a lot of people. He talks about it a lot to us, too. He's like, hey, real comfortable with the guys this year, and we're ready to go.
They're going to surprise a lot of people in the NFL? Santa, I know you're a big Sean Payton fan. This team's surprising a lot of people to do what?
To win 5 games. 5 games would shock me with this team. So, yeah.
They won 8 last year.
But that's the thing is, they've gotten worse. They've lost offensive weapons. They
lost Russell Wilson.
Potential rookie quarterback or Zach Wilson. I don't know what's worse.
He got engaged, by the way, Zach Wilson. So congratulations to him.
Congratulations.
Don't forget
to him.
Jarrett Stidham's on that roster.
His engaged partner. Wow. Yeah. Good for Zach Wilson. I'll just say that.
Yeah, she's very good looking. I'll just say it bluntly.
Although Zach Wilson has weird new hair too. Have you seen all the memes about Zach Wilson's new hair?
Oh, he has long hair.
It's like long hair, but it's slicked back, like Rick Pitino style. So he looks kind of Goomba-ish. I don't even know.
I will say this. I wouldn't say that. First off, Zach Wilson isn't looking Italian, by the way.
The memes about his hair slicked back the way it is, Patino and Calipari-esque.
I don't
is getting
see
all the meme treatment.
Maybe the dude in Remember the Titans. They call him Sunshine.
Oh, Sunshine. Yeah.
Maybe that. I'm not saying he looks
but
like
it's not
Rick
that
Pitino.
long. Sunshine's got hair down to his shoulders.
Yeah, Rick Pitino probably jealous of some of the girls that Zach Wilson's hanging out with. But Zach Wilson, I wouldn't mind being him. Even if you're the punchline to a bunch of jokes, it's not a bad lifestyle if you're Zach Wilson. That's all I'm going to say. But this team's going to be terrible. And we're going to enter next season with Sean Payton being on the hot seat. I know that they handed the keys over the franchise to him. They picked him over Russell Wilson after the trade, the contract, all that stuff. They're going to regress. I'm with you, Samter. They were 8-9 last year. They're going to regress this season. I just don't see them being quite frankly, a good team. So Brandon Ayuk, he was wearing a Steelers hat? Is that right, Samter? Brandon Ayuk was wearing a Steelers hat?
No, he was wearing a Pirates hat. It was a Pittsburgh hat. But people were getting very upset with him wearing a hat that had a P on it while he was either in or around Levi Stadium and with all the rumors about him potentially going to that team.
Yeah, so as someone that knows quite a few pro athletes, I can't really look into a lot about, and I haven't heard the cut yet, to be fair, so I can put my foot in my mouth here and just be dead wrong. An athlete wearing a team in a different city and a different sport, I think that's a fashion statement. But here's Brandon Ayuk. I'm wearing a Pittsburgh Pirates hat. This is TMZ Sports.
I got to know, man. You want to be in the Niners uniform next year? Sure. See, I knew it, man. Sure. So can you tell the fans that are all wigging out, making up all these things, having all these theories, what was the meaning when you were rocking the hats?
Pittsburgh Pirates? Pittsburgh Pirates. Pirates just hit me up on IG. They're like, we see you wearing a Pittsburgh Pirates hat. We're going to save you some gear. So I said, all right.
So there's no Pittsburgh connection. It's not like that. Everyone can rest easy.
Yeah, everybody can rest easy.
Yeah, I don't think that's a big deal. I don't think there's something crazy going on there. Now, to be fair, Ayuk did show up to the Pivot podcast with their friends Ryan Clark and Channing Crowder and Fred Taylor, and he brought Jaden Daniels with him, which I know that they're college buddies and former college teammates and all that, but he's been talking about potentially going to the Commanders as well. He wants his money, but he hasn't been getting paid yet by the San Francisco 49ers. Here's Kayvon Thibodeau. He was on the Rich Eisen show on Saquon Barkley leaving for the Eagles.
It's a business at the end of the day, so I never really took it hard. I reached out to him, and, this is a not-for-long league, so you got to get paid when you can, and you can't miss out on any dollars. We've seen it before with past contracts or past players, so I'm happy that he was able to get the contract that he was seeking.
And that's a player answer. I think fans are more upset than actually the players. I'm not saying they're thrilled to see Saquon go down the turnpike, but the Giants weren't giving him what he wanted. So that's why he left, and the Eagles gave him a deal that was that made more financial sense for him. And once they didn't get the deal done last year, you knew they weren't getting the deal done this past offseason. Here's Diana Taurasi on facing Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. What Caitlin's been able to do in her short career so far has just been nothing short of remarkable. And the one thing that I really love about her, she loves the game. You can tell she's put the work in. And even, throughout, her short WNBA career, it's been a lot of pressure, a lot of things thrown at her. And, she keeps showing up and keeps getting better every single game. So her future is super bright. And, being a veteran and being in this league for a long, long time, it's pretty cool to see that and, going into the future.
A little different than when Diana Taurasi was last talking about Caitlin Clark during the NCAA tournament, just throwing shade at her. By the way, I've not listened to it yet. Did you know Diana Taurasi was a guest on the network this past weekend, Samter? Did you know that? Nope. Just shaking your head, Samter?
I did not know.
Diana Taurasi. What show do you think Diana Taurasi was on? What host do you think Diana Taurasi was talking to?
Was it Mr. David Shepard?
That's
the
right.
Good Shep?
She was on with the Good Shepherd. I want to hear that interview because I can't wait to hear how much praise. So Diana Taurasi deserves it, right? But the introduction Shep probably gave Diana Taurasi was like an introduction she's never received. I guarantee you. Shep probably had every stat, every accolade, and after every question was probably like, Diana, it's an honor to have you here. One of the all-time greats to ever participate in the game of basketball. Notice I said not only, I didn't say just women, men and women basketball. You are one of the greats. I cannot wait to listen to that interview. I saw good job by Shep getting her. I saw it, though, and I'm like, I can't wait to listen to the entire thing just to hear how much praise Shep gave Diana Taurasi. So there's the news brief. It is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Who's the team to beat in the East after the Sixers landed Paul George? We'll do that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Hour number 3 of our radio program. That's right. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. So the big news of the day is that Paul George is off to Philadelphia. And Klay Thompson, it's not totally figured out yet, but he is planning on signing with the Dallas Mavericks. It's a 3-year deal worth $50 million. I guess, according to Anthony Irwin, the Lakers were willing to offer up to 4 years, $80 million for Klay Thompson, but he didn't elect to go to Los Angeles with the Lakers. Now I'm seeing LeBron is going to want a max on his extension. So, Stu, so much for LeBron James taking less money go allocate those resources somewhere else. The moment that doesn't happen, LeBron James go cash in, and he's going to get himself one last big fat deal. But I think the Sixers story is juicier. I do. Because the Mavericks were just in the finals this past season. The Sixers were kind of going down that road of it looked like they missed their window with Joel Embiid. And you look at Klay going to Dallas, it's a good move. It makes sense for Klay. It makes sense for the Mavericks. I personally would have liked to have seen him gone to the Denver Nuggets. But Paul George makes you look at the Sixers differently. Because if you go through the Sixers' history of trying to find Embiid, that next guy, and find that guy to pair him with, they tried Markelle Fultz, was a disaster. They tried Ben Simmons, was a disaster. Jimmy Butler was there. Jimmy Butler wasn't Jimmy Butler when he was in Philadelphia. Like, he was a good player. He was, but then Jimmy Butler got taken to a different level, getting to the 2 championships, the 2 NBA Finals appearances with the Miami Heat. Like, Jimmy was a good player, but not perceived the way that we perceive Jimmy Butler today while he was in Philadelphia. And now the Sixers, not only did they find Tyrese Maxey, and Tyrese Maxey has showed he has star potential, but they also brought in Paul George, who, for all of his playoff shortcomings, where was Paul George going to go? If he elected to go back to the Clippers, did nothing for me. You want to tell me that Paul, and Stu, that's my favorite thing. I think Stu's favorite thing that I said today. Hey, it's 100% right, Stu. I know that you are a Lakers fan and you can't stand the Clippers, but Stu, hop on mic for a second. Like, the Clippers, I know they're bringing back Harden. Kawhi, it stinks to see what happens to him, but anytime he's on an injury report, I just expect that we're not going to see him for the rest of the season. But if they would have kept Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and James Harden, does it change any view of the Los Angeles Clippers? Like, you can't stand the Clippers because, right, it's that big brother, little brother thing, you being the big bad Laker fan, even though your team's like a disgrace right now. But that doesn't accomplish anything. It's another wasted kind of final few years for Paul George in the league if he stays with the Clippers.
Yeah, they weren't going anywhere. I think that's pretty clear. I mean, they're better than the Lakers, so they're maybe the 5th best team in the West.
But what does that get you?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
And that's the thing to me. It amazes me. And maybe you could explain it a little bit better. The Clippers, even though they started to become relevant, right? They got Kawhi, they got Paul George. They've been talked about. Why do you hate? Why do you despise the Clippers so much? Like, they've done nothing to you.
No, it's just one of those things. When they signed those 2 guys, it was like they're going to win all these championships. They're going to take over LA. It's just like they did absolutely nothing.
But the Clippers could go win 3 championships in a row. They're not taking over.
Oh, LA. I understand. And that's kind of like the point. Like, there's nothing they could really do to take over LA. And everyone was just like, oh my God, Kawhi and Paul George, they're going to be so great together. They're going to win, they're going to win a championship and do all these great things. And they did nothing. Yeah, they annoy me. They just annoy me. That's all it is.
But it's amazing that they, because what they are, and I say this respectfully, the Clippers are like a little fly to the Lakers.
Yeah, a little gnat.
Don't get me wrong. That could be annoying, and you don't want to fly in your face, but you have a fly swatter, you just swat them away, except you allow them to just sit right in front of you and really annoy the crap out of you. You should be annoyed with a bunch of other things as a Lakers fan. It is funny, though, to me. If I talked about teams that you hate, Stu, I know you hate the Red Sox.
Yes.
Football. Who's the team you hate the most?
Chiefs.
Chiefs makes
Chiefs
sense.
or Chargers, probably, yeah.
But when it comes to the Lakers, I know you hate Boston the most, the Celtics. But after that, it's the Clippers, and that's kind of surreal to me.
Yeah, Clippers are second, just because of the annoyance. Again, there's no rivalry, really. Like, there hasn't been a big playoff series. Like, Lakers have had plenty of playoff series. Kings, Spurs, Blazers, Suns, Nuggets. Like, all these teams they've had over the years, but they've never played the Clippers in the playoffs. And
I would actually like to see the Clippers and Lakers play each other.
I would too.
And I'd actually like to see the Clippers win, just see how you handle it.
I would not handle that well. You think I would? No, I would not handle that well.
Yeah, I saw you in a regular season baseball game when the Mets were beating the Yankees. You looked like
that was miserable.
You look like you're about to cry.
I mean, the game was fun, but like the actual game was not good.
Maybe I just don't understand it. But what? There's like 8 people on Twitter saying the Clippers are going to take over LA.
No, in 2019, there were a lot more people than that.
Fine.
That was like everyone in the
16.
national media was praising the Clippers and how great they were going to be.
And that really annoys you?
Yes.
See, that's the part of my fandom that I just can't wrap my head around it. I just can't. That part of fandom. Like maybe a little bit with the Patriots, I experienced that. A little bit. Like when people would go after Brady and things and just say stupid things like Nick Wright would have and Rob Parker would say a stupid thing every other day. They would flip-flop. One would take Monday, one would take Tuesday, one would take Wednesday, one would take Thursday, one would take Friday, one would take Saturday. They probably both shared Sundays, honestly. Like, that maybe annoyed me. But just the Clippers getting 2 players that are injury-prone. And some people saying they were going to take over L.A. That's what really gets at you. Well, now the Clippers are basically dead anyway. Because they're moving that new stadium. Is that new stadium open this year?
It does, yes.
And now they have Kawhi, who you can't rely on, and James Harden coming back.
Yeah, and maybe Russell Westbrook, who they're trying to trade. We'll see if anyone takes him.
Yeah, I wonder where he goes. But it's like the Clippers story losing Paul George. If he would have gone back, that would have done nothing for me. I wanted to see Paul George go. Like Orlando, they didn't need him. And I don't know if you agree with this, Stu. I thought Orlando made a smart decision not to go get him. I don't know if they could have actually got him. But Orlando's a team with a good young core. Like, they have Paolo Banchero. Orlando should kind of take the Knicks approach, where you don't just have to strike on the first big name you could get. You got to get the right big name. And I know it's tough to be as selective as the Knicks were, maybe for the Magic. I could understand that. If Paul George wanted to go there, fine. I don't think, though, it's a tremendous loss for the Magic that they didn't get Paul George. I think they still have a bright future, and they could wait with some of the youngsters that they have.
I agree, and I kind of like the fact they signed KCP as kind of like instead
good veteran player.
Yeah, and he's just a role player. He's going to fit in. Like, it's not like Paul George who needs the ball and is going to, kind of command the ball, and he's going to have the ball in his hand and score a lot. KCP will just stand in the corner, shoot threes, defend well. Like, they probably gave him a little more money than I thought he would have gotten, but I think that's a good signing, and I think they're better off without George.
And now I look at it, all right, so we know Paul George is going to Philly, but I wanted to see Paul George go to either Golden State or Philadelphia. Because Paul George with Steph would have at least reinvigorated a little life, right? Would have made you think that the Warriors have some life again. But now, what it's done, it's given Sixers fans hope again. Like, I have a lot of friends that are Sixers fans. They are as excited as they've been in quite some time. And they know Paul George injury history. They know some of his playoff shortcomings outside the year he got to the conference finals with the Clippers and he stepped up. Like, they know what they're getting in Paul George. But the problem with Philly, for years, it was always, who's the running mate to Embiid? Now they kind of have 2 running mates to Embiid. Because Maxey, this will not stunt his development. He's a tremendous young player. And now you bring in Paul George, and it's like, okay, this is the last hurrah for Paul George. And I think you'll see a little extra motivated Paul George. And also, it extends the thought of Embiid's championship window. Because I think a lot of Sixers fans are at the point where they said, okay, they missed the window to go win a championship with Embiid. But now, like, it opens back up another 2 to 3 years because Embiid's still going to be an elite player for 2 to 3 years. And then eventually, I do think all these injuries catch up to him. But they have finally put a formidable product on the court that gives you an actual reason to believe in, which you haven't had in quite some time with Philadelphia. And not only does this move of Paul George going to Philly, it changed the landscape of the East. But Stu, can you make the case? Like, if I asked you right now, which conference is deeper? Is it the East or the West? Which one would you say?
I think it's the East.
So do I.
Yeah, I think especially the bottom half of the playoff, like let's say the 5 through 8 or 9, I think is better in the East. And the East has the best team in the league in the Celtics. So
the Celtics just won a championship. They're the best team in the league. The Knicks are a championship contender now with Mikal Bridges.
Definitely.
Even though they lost Hardenstein, looks like they're going to keep Randall and Mitchell Robinson. The Bucks, I think people are sleeping on Milwaukee because everyone's out on Doc Rivers.
They're going to be better than last year.
But as long as Giannis and Dame are healthy, that's a formidable team, very formidable team. The Cavs they're just a good, solid team. And Donovan Mitchell's staying there. But I don't think they're going to win a championship. The Magic are young, up and coming, and they took a good step last year. The Pacers are a gritty team. The Sixers are now a championship contending team, which I would not have called them that this time last year. And Miami, I don't love Jimmy Butler. playing out this season without a contract for the future, and it's the final year, and I'm always skeptical of how Jimmy's going to handle that, and when will he turn on Miami? But you do have Jimmy and Bam still together. And Bam, I guess, just got a new 3-year deal going back to last week. So right there, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams that are really good. And I would you throw any out of those 8 teams, I think the 4 championship contenders are the Celtics, the Knicks, the Bucks, and the Sixers. Is there another team that you think is a championship contender in the Eastern Conference? I would draw the line in the sand at 4 for yours truly.
Yeah, it's 4. I don't see anyone else contending for a title now. Pacers are interesting. Like, they're young enough and they can get a little better, but I probably wouldn't put them in there.
Sam, do you have a team you want to throw in there?
Not necessarily the Cavs or the Magic, but I'm not sold on the Knicks yet. I know Randall's back. I'm not sold on the Knicks.
Why?
I don't know.
Well, you can't just say you're not sold and just go, I don't know.
No, it's just I look at the raw. Listen, I like Jalen Brunson. I think Jalen Brunson's a tier 2 kind of guy. But if your top player is a tier 2 guy, then you're not winning a title.
Well,
Brunson is good enough.
Jalen Brunson.
He's a good player. He's not. He
would have got the team to the conference finals if he didn't have the hand injury, and he's playing hurt throughout that entire series. He's a National Player of the Year in college basketball.
And National Player of the Year, so was Joe Smith and Marcus Camby. Like, don't give me this. He was a National Player of the Year in college basketball. I don't care about that. He's a nice player. I think he's a tier 2 guy.
He's more than a nice player. You're making out like he's an average player.
No, he's a top 20 kind of guy. Maybe top 25 kind of guy.
Wait, maybe
yeah, top 20, top 25.
You can't be more off on this. He's easily a top 15 player in the league.
I disagree. I think he had a really good year.
You cannot name 20 players better than Jalen Brunson. You just can't.
I mean, do you want to start going through it?
No, I'm not. Okay. I'm not going to insult our listening audience.
Okay.
Like that. But the East is now, I think, better than the West. You look at the West. The Thunder are very good. Denver's very good, even though they lost some key pieces. But you still got Murray and you still got the Joker. The Timberwolves are a very good team. Mavericks very good. But after that, I have no hope in the Clippers, no hope in the Suns, no hope in the Lakers. They got big names, but it seems like KD's setting up his departure. LeBron doesn't have enough around him. I know AD was healthy this year. That means he'll be hurt next year. Sorry, Stu. And the Clippers, they can't expect anything out of Kawhi. I want to see the Kings look more like the Kings from 2 years ago. Maybe Memphis could pop back up if John Morant's not on Instagram Live and he's also able to stay healthy. I know Chris Paul's landing with the Spurs, but I still think the Spurs are very far away, but there's the appeal with Wemby. From top to bottom, the East right now is just a better conference. Would you have not been able to say that in quite some time? Stu, who are your 4 champions? In the East, we went through the 4 championship contenders. In the West, what? It's the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, and then the Mavericks would probably be the 4?
Those would be the 4, yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say about the West is I feel like the teams, the bottom 4 to 5 teams in the East are a lot worse. In the West, you have, the Spurs are kind of rebuilding, but after that, there's not a lot of horrible team. The East might have, 5 of the 6 worst teams in the league at the bottom. That's the only argument I would say for the West being better, but I think in terms of the playoff teams, I think the East has that.
So I think the West, here's what I'll say about the West. Is eye candy the right term here? There's some eye candy teams in the Western Conference. You look at the Lakers, you're like, oh, they got LeBron. You look at the Clippers, they're like, oh, they got Kawhi. You look at the Pelicans, oh, they got Zion. You look at the Warriors, oh, they got Steph. But those teams they're not good. I know the Clippers won 51 games. Ty Lue's a heck of a coach. I don't think the Clippers are this championship team. The Suns, oh, yeah, they got Kevin Durant, but they're all on the verge of killing one another. The Lakers, I said what I said about Anthony Davis. He's healthy this year. That means he's going to be hurt next year. Even Zion had a good year. It looks like Ingram's going to be gone. But, Zion, even when he had a good year, he was barely even talked about. And the Warriors, they're wasting Steph's final few years in the league right now.
It feels to me all right, you look at the top of the East, the Celtics were the best team all year long, record-wise and in the playoffs. Yeah. After that, the Knicks were the second best team with 50 wins. right? You look at the West, the Thunder, 57, Nuggets, 57, Timberwolves, 56, Clippers, 51, Mavs, 50, Suns, 49. The Pelicans had 49 wins. The 10th place team, the Warriors, had 46 wins. The Warriors would have basically been fighting for the 4 seed, the 3 seed in the East if they were in the East. They probably would have gotten the 3 or the 2 seed in the East if they were in the East. The West is just deeper. And at the top, there's more really good teams. Like we talk about the Knicks.
But I don't think it's 1 through 8 deeper now. I don't. Like, if you want to tell me teams that miss out in the playoffs, okay, fine. But I'm talking about from 1 through 8 potentially playoff teams. The East is just better now.
I'm still not there yet. They're catching up, but they're not better.
Well, there's just so many incomplete teams in the West. Like, put it this way. I don't think the Cavs ever win a championship. I don't think the Pacers win a championship. I don't think the Heat win a championship. But they're good, gritty teams. They are. And that's half the battle in the NBA. Which teams are going to show up and actually compete? That's an enormous part. So I'll ask this poll question right now. After the Celtics, who is the team to beat in the Eastern Conference? The Bucks, the Knicks, the Sixers, or other? Right now I'm saying it's still the Bucks. But 38.3%, we know one of them isn't Samter, with the Knicks. 28.1% are both with the Bucks and the Sixers, and 5.5% are with other right now. What say you? 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. We'll take a break. We'll come on back. Samter's got some questions. I'll give you some answers. We'll get to onside, offside next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The fun continues on the Infinity Sports Network.
Alrighty, I'm not a soccer guy. I'm not going to pretend to be one. I know that Samter and Stu, they watch soccer as if they get paid to actually watch soccer with how much they watch. They watch it religiously. What's going on? Everyone's freaking out about Ronaldo right now.
Yeah, so Portugal's playing Slovenia. It's an extra time, which is like a 30-minute period to see whoever could score a goal.
I know it's called extra time, but I love Stu's soccer
I feel like a lot of
fandom.
people don't know what extra time is.
It's overtime.
Yeah.
But I love Stu's soccer fandom because if sources are correct here, like 5 years ago, you didn't give a rat's ass, and now you know everything about soccer.
Well, I don't know if I know everything, but yeah, I really enjoyed the game a lot more the past like 5 or 6 years, yeah.
Okay, so continue the explanation here.
So Portugal gets a penalty. Ronaldo is their penalty kick taker because he's Ronaldo, and he missed it. Now, it wasn't a horrible kick. Like, he didn't miss the whole net. The goalie made a really nice save, Oblak, who's one of the better goalies in the world, but missing a penalty is pretty rough at this point because this match is probably at this point going to go to penalty kicks in about 10 minutes.
Okay.
So, I mean, he'll probably have a chance to redeem himself, but that was a big missed opportunity for Portugal.
Oh, I didn't even realize this is on the TV screen when I look up right now in front of me.
How about that?
It was on the whole time.
You have soccer on. How about
in.
that? Look at you.
Yeah, I definitely did that intentionally. I definitely put that on Fox, I believe, is where it's on right now. So, do you actually care who wins this? Like, does this impact you with your fandom or anything like that?
No. I mean, the winner of this game would play France and probably lose to France.
And who are you polling for?
I would like to see England win, which
okay.
They're probably not going to win. But
And Samter, do you have any preference here, rooting preference?
Oh, yeah, 100% England.
Why are you guys so big on England?
I'm part English.
Oh, gotcha.
And also part of it, I mean, I lived in England. I worked for a British soccer team. And then,
Wait, you worked for a British soccer team?
I did.
Who?
I worked for a British soccer team who at the time was in Division 2, which is now called League One. And all the names
When
have
did
changed.
you work for them? How did you work for them?
In 2001, I did a study abroad program for my school, and I got an internship working for Brentford Football Club. Brentford at the time was Division 2, which is now League One, which is 2 levels down below the Premier League. And now they're in the Premier League, and they almost got relegated this year, but they did not. And they're very good. They're in the Premier League now, which is awesome.
So basically, you left, and they almost got relegated.
No. I was there, and no. I mean, I left 23 years ago.
I don't need facts here.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
You just tried to claim Jalen Brunson wasn't a top 20 player in the league, and then no facts to back it up. So why should we have facts now?
I was going to go into facts, and you said no.
Well, yeah, because it would have been a lot of fake news.
If Jason Tatum, to me, is the 8th or 9th best player in the NBA, I don't think Jalen Brunson's even close to his level.
Okay, you still can't name 20 players better than him. But for the sake of the show, I'm not going to go down this road. So, Stu, I have a very important question to ask you.
Sure.
Ronaldo's 39, right?
Yes, 38 or 39.
Is he washed up?
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, he is.
I was just
He's been playing in Saudi Arabia the past 2 years, and it's a mess.
Okay. So this is a big deal that he missed this. What was it, a penalty kick?
Penalty kick, yeah. He's going to, if they lose this match, he's going to get, pretty heavily criticized.
But did something, by the way, happen with this coach of Uruguay?
Yeah, Bielsa, yeah.
Do you know what happened?
So it was at the match I was actually at. I guess that was Thursday.
That was at MetLife.
It was at MetLife.
Yeah.
So apparently
This happened at that match?
Yes.
Oh.
Apparently he didn't have the team ready to go to come back on the pitch either at the start of the game or after halftime. Mm-hmm. So it was delayed a few minutes, and I didn't realize. I'm just there waiting for the second half to start. He
didn't have the team ready to go? Like they weren't fired up to play for him?
No,
or
they weren't physically out on the field yet.
Huh.
Yeah, so he got suspended a match for that, which is pretty absurd.
Wow. So there's this big board to the right of me. That's why I brought it up.
I saw it.
I don't pretend to know things that I don't know. But there's a big board, and it says Pete's mad. So I'm assuming that's Pete the Body Bilotti. Can't you just write everything in life? Pete is usually someone that is very mad about everything.
He's not nearly as mad these days as he was years ago. He is a much more jovial, happy, pleasant human being. Marriage and kids will do that to a guy. But I've worked with Bilotti for a very long time.
This is, by the way, Samter saying that someone's not mad at everything is the pot calling the kettle black here.
No, I'm not mad at everything. I get angry at things, but I'm a jovial, enjoyable person. I enjoy life. Bilotti just hated everything. Bilotti hated the world, but he's lightened up. He's a sweeter, nicer, kinder gentleman at this time.
So it says Pete's mad. Hawk Tua merchandise. So I guess he's mad that the Hawk Tua girl is selling merchandise, which I saw an interview that the Hawk Tua girl did with Brianna Chicken Fry. And they were basically asking who she would Hawk Tua with. And there was a bunch of different names there. Donald Trump, Zach Bryan, who's dating Brianna Chicken Fry, Dave Portnoy. There was a lot of names there.
Yeah, she didn't want to Hawk Tua Dave Portnoy. She didn't
know who he was.
No, and then they showed a picture, and she goes, and then she didn't want to Hawk Tua Antonio Brown either, but she didn't know who he was either.
Yeah. So I guess she's selling a bunch of merchandise.
Yeah, good for her.
Gunnar Henderson, I don't know why Pete's mad at him. Then he's mad at the suspension of the coach from Uruguay. He's mad at Zach Wilson's engagement. That's not nice. What, that it's getting covered and talked about, or that the guy got engaged? Because that would be pretty morbid if Pete was like, oh, I'm mad that this guy got engaged.
Should we call Pete again like we did last week?
No, his cell phone sucks, so I don't want to hear him again. And then Tyrod Taylor as a landlord. I don't know what that's about. And then I added something on this board. So they're going to walk in tomorrow, and they're going to see, just on this board, Pete's mad. Perloff thinking he's Juju Smith-Schuster at a kickball event. And I hashtagged it all about social media. I can't kid you here on this. Perloff was a social media whore at the Deion Dawkins charity kickball tournament. He walks in with those breakaway pants. He couldn't, unsnap them. So, I thought it was a bit at first, but he was being serious. And then, once EJ tears his patella tendon, and Deion Dawkins comes over and having a nice moment with EJ and all of us talking, Perloff's like, oh, we got to get a photo. In the middle, when Deion's giving words of encouragement to EJ. Hey, Samter, you'll understand this scene. Remember my best friend? He hit me up for Radio Row, and he's like, hey, can you get my friend's dad and his two brothers into Radio Row? And one of them, who was Uncle Sheldon, was like a fat kid in a candy store. And anytime we were done interviewing someone, he's like, oh, can I get a picture? That was basically Perloff with Deion Dawkins. And Deion was going to take the photo anyway. But you have this nice, genuine moment of Deion caring for EJ after EJ is stealing third base at a charity kickball event tournament. And he wipes out non-contact injury, patella tendon tear. And the next thing you know, Perloff's like, oh, yeah, we need a group photo. In the middle of, like, Deion being so nice to EJ.
If Perloff was planning his exit, he was trying to get the heck out of there.
He was like, trying to make the 3 o'clock train.
He's like, damn my producer, damn injuries, damn your financial responsibilities here. I got to hop on a train. So,
no, it was just wild. So I added some stuff to the board.
Now, is there a picture floating around of an injured EJ? I mean, not that I want to get any joy out of seeing EJ injured, but I'm sure there should be some.
Sounds like you do.
No, I'm sure there had to have been like an interesting, funny picture of like EJ smiling on the ground while you guys were attending to him.
Oh no, there was no smiling. Like I was in the third base dugout, and I think I was already up, and then I saw EJ get to the. Oh no, EJ was on base. And EJ was stealing third, and I just saw him go down. And when he went down at first, I thought he just slid. That's what I thought. And then I heard him scream, oh, bleep. And then I ran over to him, and I helped carry him off the field. But he even like an hour after it happened, he stayed there for an hour. And he was waiting for someone to pick him up to then take him to the hospital. Even an hour, like I had to then carry him to the car. An hour later, like he could not walk on that one leg. That's how banged up.
Well, I guess my point is, after an hour, at some point, maybe someone makes a joke and you're smiling. Like, all right, let's get a picture.
I did make a joke.
Yeah. So, like, I have to now hear this joke.
Well, EJ got engaged. EJ went to London, 3 weeks ago for the Mets Phillies game?
And then went to Paris.
He got engaged, and then he did like a whole world tour pretty much.
Yeah. There's some great pictures in front of the Eiffel Tower. Good for him.
So
that's how you do it.
So I said, you got that on one knee, and like I made like some like stupid joke, like at least it happened then, and not now or something like that. Like at least you don't need that knee for anything else. I think I said that. You got the good part out of the way.
I'm just disappointed that after an hour of him sitting there, that no one just like took a candid
photo. There's a photo of EJ sitting next to Deion Dawkins, and Deion Dawkins is touching EJ's leg, basically blessing it.
Oh, beautiful.
And healing him back.
I enjoy that.
But Perloff only cared about the social media post. It's one of the most selfish things I've ever seen. EJ having a very nice moment with Deion. Hey, we need a photo. Like, cut off Deion. And you're right. You're exactly right why Perloff did it. He had to go catch a train. But Perloff, man, this was the other part too, Samter. I had to issue the lineup. So I was going to put Perloff at the top of the lineup. So I'm reading off, I think it was like Maggie, and then Perloff, and then he goes, no, I want to be at the bottom of the lineup. And I'm like, why do you want to be at the bottom of the lineup? He's like, fewer at-bats. He goes, less running for me. I thought Perloff was somewhat of an athlete, like this big wig basketball player and all that. I think Perloff is past his athletic prime. I think he's cooked. Ronaldo missed that penalty shot. Perloff basically missed every penalty shot he took. But I will tell you, what the toughest part was with this kickball tournament? The speed of and how many bounces people were throwing this kickball. I will admit, right? I did swing and miss once.
What?
Yeah. Bro. Samter, you would not have got a base hit. Like I'm not trying to be a douche here, but I'm being serious.
Sounds pretty douchey.
I'm being serious. I ended up getting a base hit after I did swing and miss. It was tougher than what it looked because the ball you were not very far away from the pitcher, and the ball was coming in quick and very bouncy. So it wasn't impossible to swing and miss. But I'm comfortable in my own skin to admit that I did swing and miss in a charity kickball tournament. But anyway, it is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will come on back. Sam's got some questions. I'll give him some answers. We'll do onside and offside as we do this each and every Monday and Friday. Update time. Ack, you interested in maybe doing kickball next year?
I think I'm going to pass after EJ's injury. I'm significantly older.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think it's now. So I'm going to do the event next year.
Good for you.
But I think I have to register a team outside of the company.
You need some insurance.
I think Maggie and Perloff are scarred for life. EJ, I can't go back to the well next year and be like, hey, you want to come back to the scene of the crime?
It's funny, because I've just been thinking about it, and I was like, it's been close to 50 years since I played football.
Boyle and Hickey are frauds. They didn't even show up.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
Well, Hickey's in Ireland, isn't he?
We don't need logic here. He told me where he was going.
But, and I was like, it'd be really cool. But, it's one of those things, and I was in a softball league several years ago, and I was like, as it feels like a good idea, and I remember from playing softball, like, my mind flashed back to when I was 15. My body doesn't move the same way.
Well, Mayernick only played 2 games. And Mayernick comes up to me and he's like, I am so sore today.
Takes a lot of stretching.
Played 6 innings, Dave. Yeah. Like, come on. Yeah, that's sore after 6 innings. At least go play 5-6 games and then be sore.
Hey, it's muscles you haven't used in years.
No, for sure. So we'll take a timeout. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will do onside, offside when we come on back. I had one more line that I wanted to say from this whole charity kickball tournament, but it's slipped away from me.
You too are getting old.
Yeah, no, I think I am. Maybe I could run for president. Here he is, the Ackman, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, the Celtics are one of the great franchises in sports and now up for sale, with ownership planning to sell after purchasing the team more than 20 years ago, and they are coming off the 18th championship in franchise history. The Warriors' last title came 2 years ago, but it's now a much different world in San Francisco, with Klay Thompson leaving after 13 years for a 3-year deal with the Mavericks worth $50 million in a sign-and-trade deal. The Sixers are spending big, shelling out $200 million to hang on to Tyrese Maxey for the next 5 years after giving Paul George $212 over 4. Tobias Harris leaves Philly for a 2-year deal in Detroit worth $52 million. And Isaiah Hartenstein cashes in with a 3-year, $87 million deal in Oklahoma City. Today's also the start of NHL free agency and the end of an era in Tampa Bay, where Steven Stamkos leaves after 16 years and 2 Stanley Cups to sign a 4-year deal in Nashville, which also signed Jonathan Marchessault for 5 years and Brady Shea for 7. Sam Reinhart will be back with the Panthers for their title defense, getting an 8-year deal worth $69 million. The Lightning signed Jake Gensel to 7 years, $63 million. Baseball today, the Astros lead the Blue Jays 3-0 in the top of the 9th. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X and like us on Facebook. Our handle is @INF Sportsnet on X and INF Sportsnet for Facebook.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick from the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, wrapping up shop on a Monday. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. So our pal EJ unfortunately did tear his patellar tendon in the charity kickball event that we were participating in as a radio network. Can I just throw something out there? This is a conspiracy theory. So this is not me throwing out this conspiracy theory. This is something that I've read. So I guess EJ lost a bet on the Maggie and Perloff show where he does not have to eat tuna, lime, jello, whatever that concoction was that Maggie
was disgusting. I almost
eat.
vomited just watching the videos.
Yeah, it was grotesque. Or does not have to drive to San Antonio like Perloff has to. But I don't know what EJ lost the bet for, but he has to run gassers, and he has not paid off that bet yet. So there's a conspiracy theory out there that EJ went down in the charity kickball game and then went to the hospital on his own and claims he has a torn patella tendon, and that's just everyone believing his word, because who would lie about that? So that I think he gets the sympathy part in paying off the bet, and maybe Maggie and Pearl will be like, oh, you tore your patella tendon in a charity kickball game, so now you don't have to run the gassers. That's just a conspiracy theory that I've seen people in the, what Maggie calls them, the Weedo and the Purple Drankers, just throw out there.
I will say this. If you tore your patella, he's going to likely have to wear a cast, potentially even have surgery, likely have crutches and or one of those little scooter things. If he does that for weeks and weeks on end while he heals just to avoid paying off a bet, let him have it.
Well, EJ is a wrestling fan. So if you want to commit to the bit or commit to something fake, well, that's going to annoy Pete. They're going to add that to the board. Then I would think that's like the ultimate wrestling kind of move.
You know what, though? If he was really pulling a bit, he would have had somebody filming his injury. Somebody would have been out there filming him getting hurt. The fact that there's no footage of him crumpling down like a, sack of potatoes and injuring his leg in a charity kickball game.
You're sick. You really want to see the guy get hurt.
No.
You want to see the video of it. You do.
Yeah, yes.
You're sick.
Yes, but that's because I love watching injury videos.
What?
Oh, yeah. When Kevin Ware's leg popped out of his, bone popped out of his leg, I watched that a dozen times. I love watching videos.
You are a bizarre human being.
It starts out as
You're
morbid
a grotesque
curiosity.
human being.
It starts out as morbid curiosity, wanting to just see what happened, and then I have to watch like 6 or 7 times just to kind of get every angle of it. I know it's sick, but
I'm at a loss for words.
There's a lot of people out there like me. They enjoy watching the injury.
Okay. What are you saying, Stu? Sorry, just give it a thumbs up.
I'm the same way. When these injuries happen, I go on Twitter and I seek them out and I watch them.
Immediately.
That's disgusting. It is. I sit there and I scream when I see those injuries, and I can't watch a replay.
I scream, but it's almost like
you're like, this guy just blew out his leg. Yeah.
No. I scream out of like, oh my god,
sick.
I gotta see that again.
Hit onside, offside. Just hit it.
Zach's taking on the most polarizing issues in sports. Which side of the line of scrimmage will he end up on?
Offside. Defense number 69.
It's Onsides, Offsides with Zach Gelb.
All right, it's time to answer our Ask the Pros question of the day. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Mike in Sickoville has a question for me. He'll read it for you in just a second. It's about the Chicago Bears and Roma Dunze. You can submit a question by tweeting at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Mike in Sickoville, go ahead. What's your question?
Living here since day one. We've joked this offseason about exaggerated reports of Justin Fields returning kicks, but his former team might have a surprise returner themselves this year. According to Bears special teams coordinator Richard Hightower, 9th overall pick Roma Dunze, quote, is an every down player. He had 3 returns on the books, and one of those was a house call. He's in contention for the returner job. Onside, offside, the Bears should use Odunze to return kicks if he's their best option.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with this one. When you asked me about Fields, I was like, that would be dumb. This I'm fine with because he is good enough to be an eventual number 1 wide receiver. But right now, there's going to be a lot of reps thrown to the direction of DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. I'm okay while he's younger using him for returns here. So the Bears should use Odunze for returns if he's their best returner. I'd be fine with that onsides.
Now, the Pistons surprised many by firing Monty Williams and not hiring a new coach before the draft. However, the team just hired former Grizzlies and Cavs coach J.B. Bickerstaff after James Borrego removed his name from the search over the weekend. The team then gave former number 1 overall pick Caden Cunningham a max extension before signing Tobias Harris from the Sixers. So offside, Detroit will make the playoffs this season.
Playoffs?
Playoffs?
You serious? Playoffs? You kidding me? I just hope they could win a game. This team stunk last year.
Offside.
And the East got better. They won 14 games. 14 games. Even if they double their win total, they won't even be a playoff team. So, no, they're not making the playoffs. And also, how about the recycling of head coaches? Monty Williams doesn't work. Who do we hire? J.B. Bickerstaff. Now, he shouldn't have got canned in Cleveland, to be fair. But I'm telling you, NBA, NHL coaches, it's literally like a whorehouse. They just go from team to team to team to team to team. It's wild. All right, next one.
In a surprise move, future Hall of Fame point guard Chris Paul has agreed to join Victor Wembanyama in San Antonio. CP3 obviously chased a ring in one unsuccessful season with the Warriors and will now join a team that, as we know, is nowhere close to contending for a title, at least not yet. Onside, offside, even without a title, Chris Paul is a top 5 point guard of all time.
Magic, Oscar Robertson, Steph, Isaiah, Jerry West, John Stockton, Steve Nash even. can you talk about Jason Kidd? Like, there's a lot. Like, don't get me wrong. Chris Paul's a Hall of Famer. Chris Paul's a sensational player. But great top 5 point guard of all time. I'm going offside on that one.
Offside.
I think that ship sailed when he got to the NBA Finals, right? With the Suns, and then they didn't get the job done. So, yeah, I think that ship has sailed.
Now, as free agents sign around the league, one star could be on the move via trade is Pelicans' Brandon Ingram. One report out of Sacramento says the Kings are planning to heavily pursue Ingram to join with De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. So onside-offside, a trio of Fox, Sabonis, and Ingram would be a title contender in the West.
Be a very good team. I'm very fascinated to see what the Kings do. 2 years ago, I was bought in. I was disappointed with them this past season. A title contender, that would be to me the third or the fourth best team, right, in the West. I don't think that'd be the case, so I'm going to go offsides.
Offsides. Now, another week, another impressive display by rivals Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Yesterday, Clark missed a triple-double by 1 rebound as she led the Fever to an impressive win over Diana Taurasi and Phoenix. Meanwhile, Reese set the single-season, not just rookie, but single-season WNBA record with her 10th consecutive double-double. Clark is averaging 16 points, 7 assists, and 6 boards, while Reese is dropping in 13 points and 11 boards a game. So onside-offside, Angel Reese is actually having a better rookie season than Caitlin Clark.
I think she is. There's a chance she could win Rookie of the Year over Caitlin Clark. I talk more about Caitlin Clark. I'm more intrigued by Caitlin Clark just because what she could do from the style of play where she hits the ball from 3, and I want to see her shoot the ball more. The assists are incredible for Caitlin Clark, and she has more points, but points of Angel Reese a walking double-double. So I'm going to say right now on size, Angel Reese actually having the better rookie season than Clark. I don't think that's a hot take either.
No, it's so interesting. Now, once again, baseball is tinkering with the home run derby, adding a cap to the number of pitches a batter can face in the first round, rather than allowing as many swings as possible in the allotted time. MLB is also changing the first round from a head-to-head battle to the top 4 finishers advancing to the second round. Onside, offside, the home run derby is the best all-star activity in all of the major sports.
I'm going to go offside here.
Offside.
What do you think I'm going to say? Just wondering.
3-point contest.
It is a 3-point contest, especially what they did this past year. Where that was Sabrina Ionescu going up against Steph Curry. That was awesome. And I think that should continue. I want to see Dame added to that fold next year, and also Caitlin Clark as well.
I used to love the NHL skills competition. Like
That's fun, too.
The fastest skater around the rink, the Al Iafredi and the slap shots. I love that stuff.
Yeah, no, that's pretty damn cool, too. But the home run derby, I don't know. Without Chris Berman, it's kind of lost a lot of luster. He'd be like, back, gone. Now you got like Robot Ravitch there, Carl Ravitch, who just can't improvise. He's just the home run derby's not made for Carl Ravitch.
I just don't understand how they still have kids shagging those balls in the outfield. Like, we saw a couple of them get pinged this year.
Yeah.
It's like eventually someone's going to get really hurt. Those balls are coming in hot.
Maybe we put you out in the outfield this year.
Guaranteed injury. Guaranteed coming back with a welt over my left eye.
EJ torn patella tendon playing kickball. Samter, how'd you get hit? I was going to say Yasiel Puig. Why was I throwing his name? I don't know why. Shohei Ohtani hit Samter right in the face with a dinger to left. Alrighty, fun show today. Chael Sutton, thanks so much for dropping by, each and every one of you. We'll talk manana, everybody, at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.
You're in a 5-minute break.